What's up, guys? Welcome to another home theater hangout. Today I'm joined with Jordan from Haterade Cowboy Cinema on YouTube. What's going on, Jordan?
What's going on, Shane? Good to hang out with you again on this Friday. Or Thursday. Man, I got my days
Friday.
mixed up.
Oh my gosh. I was like, wait a minute. Did I lose another day here?
One of those days, man.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today for our evening of home theater chat, where we're going to talk about industry news and we welcome you guys, the most important part of our show, the home theater community.
Very
We're
important.
gonna we're gonna start off with a couple topics that we have set up, and then we'll end up with your comments at the end of the show. Remember, super chats are welcome. We're gonna open up the super chat board right now.
Yeah, come on, guys. Send in some super chats. 5, 10. If you're like John Campia, send in some $50 super chats.
All right, so big news this week, which I'm sure you had already watched it, was Dune Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, if you missed the review, Jordan's going to have one on his channel soon, maybe tonight or tomorrow. Mine is already up on the channel. I put it up yesterday or maybe 2 days ago. I forgot. Tuesday I put it up. We watched it on the Kaleidoscape. And for you guys that don't know what the Kaleidoscape is, it's basically just not an uncompressed file, but the same file that you would almost get on a physical media disc, except it's downloaded onto a hard drive. So you're getting the same, if not better, quality than physical media disc. This is that was not a streaming review, because I know I still get questions whether, like, what is Kaleidoscape? This wasn't based on streaming, so it was based on the Kaleidoscape, which is a downloadable file. The file size, I believe, was 89.3 gigs.
Kind of small.
If I'm not, yeah, pretty small. I think the physical media disc is going to be, I think it's going to be on a 100 gig disc, but I think they're putting the extras on the disc as well. So, which would mean the
Probably gonna take a
movie
hit.
it's like 2 hours, it's almost 3 hours long. If they're going to put extras on it, like making of, behind the scenes, stuff like that, that's going to cut into the 100 gig file size. So I'm assuming it's going to be lower than the 89 gigs that's on the Kaleidoscape file, which would mean that Kaleidoscape possibly could be a better looking, presentation. I guess that's all up to, we're going to find out sometime next month, like May 17th or something like that. But we got to see it in its full glory a good month before the physical media guys are going to get to check it out. So my review is based on that. And what was your thoughts on the AV quality, Jordan? Let's go picture quality first. How'd you feel about it?
Picture quality. So I saw it twice in theaters, which is probably half the amount of times that you saw it. I saw it on IMAX, or I saw it first on standard, which the screen looked really good. And then I saw it on IMAX and it looked really good. The audio, not so much, but we'll talk about that. I feel like it looked pretty much like it did. I don't know what type of projector they were using in the standard, but I kind of feel like the standard version looked better. The IMAX one that I went to,
Yeah.
it kind of dropped the ball, but it looks, man, it's crispy. Like, it is very, very good. It looks just like it did when I saw it in the theater. So I was impressed with it. I'd say maybe out of 10, I'd give it like I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see like any banding. I don't see any like compression anywhere. Like, it's, that's the Kaleidoscape version, but I thought it was pretty legit. So
Yeah, I know some people were saying, it's not colorful enough, or maybe it wasn't like bright enough.
And the movie's not
Etc.
colorful.
Yeah, I mean, they're
It's
out in
like-
the desert.
Yeah, it's like sand. It's basically like whatever color sand is, dark scenes, and a couple of light scenes. But other than that, it's not a really colorful movie.
Yeah, like every movie in HDR doesn't mean you have to have every color in the rainbow to be an impressive presentation. Like, you don't have to reach 2,000 nits. You don't have to be, 16 billion colors of red, blue, and green. I mean, you just have to present what the director wanted to show you in a manner that doesn't cause any kind of issues like banding or little jaggies, stuff like that. You want a
Skittle
nice clean,
noise.
yeah, noise. You don't want, well, you want to keep film grain intact if it's there.
Right.
You don't want to have compression issues, stuff like that. That's kind of what I base my reviews on. Like I'm not like just like, hey, this got to be the most colorful thing in the world. I mean, it's got to look like a faithful presentation of what I saw at the cinema, which was easy for me to do because I saw it like 4 or 5 times 2 weeks prior, so I had a pretty good idea of what it would probably look like on the home. And yeah, like I said in the review, it was a pretty faithful reproduction of what I saw then. And yeah, I gave it a 10. I thought it's a super crisp, super clean, especially coming from Aliens, which was just like, I don't know if you saw Aliens, but Aliens was just
Mm-mm.
like, yeah, it was just bad. Well, I wasn't bad looking. It was
It's an
different.
old
Yeah.
movie too. So those
Yeah,
always, I'm always kind of like, yeah, it's okay. It's remastered or it's on 4K Ultra HD, but it's like it still looks dated, and there's only so much that they can do, especially if it's done on film. To begin with, I think didn't you say that Dune was shot digitally, then transferred to film, then transferred back to digital, or was that,
Yeah, that's
or
weird
was
that they
that
do that.
no, that was Aliens, right? Not
No, that
Dune.
was Dune. Yeah,
That
so
was
they
Dune.
shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe they shot on the Arri cameras. I think they're like the 65, the Alexa
Okay.
65, and then they put it on film, and then they take it back, put it back on digital.
Yeah,
I
it is
guess just
weird.
to give it that film look. Like I
But
don't know.
I I didn't notice, like, I don't know about you. Did you notice any type of film grain? Like, I don't remember seeing any film
I mean,
grain. It looks clean.
there's a little bit of film grain in it. Like I didn't on the second row, I didn't really see it because when I took a
Mm,
picture of Florence's Pugh character from the second row, I was like, oh, that's crisp. Then I sat in the front row. I was like, oh, there's a little bit. There actually is a little bit of film grain here. It's not like it's not a lot. Like I mean, I got a 150 inch screen. I had to get up in the first row, and then I was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, it's there. But from the second row, I couldn't really tell. But it's definitely there.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
super
not.
crispy.
Yeah, it doesn't like get in the way or anything like that. Like it's still super sharp. It's not like Gemini Man sharp, but
Yeah.
it's pretty
Well,
close though.
I was impressed too by it because I was looking at some of the really dark scenes, and I was like, very much noise here. Like, they did an excellent job of shooting, in the dark. Because I believe he said, uh, Denis Villeneuve said that they shot everything, pretty much everything, like on location because they wanted the actual like sunlight.
Yeah,
Apparently, like when you use like green screens and stuff for the lighting, it's very difficult. But they wanted that natural look to like they wanted the actual reflections and the light stuff. So, but I was like, man, there's some really dark scenes, and I don't see like any noise in the image.
yeah, I could tell. I could tell at the end of the movie when they're having the fight with Fade Ralpha.
Ratha.
Because I remember at the theater, I was like, oh, this is kind of dark. Like it, like the guys in the background. I was like, it's not hard, kind of hard to see.
Yeah,
Which I was like, they're probably just using natural light in this scene because it's not super well lit. So they probably went for that specific look. Like I almost was gonna kind of like knock it a point for that because at the end I was like, oh, I mean, I can hardly see like I'm missing some legs and arms and stuff like that. But I was like, yo, that's probably just the way it's supposed to be because I
yeah,
recalled that at the theater and I was just like, usually if you go to a theater, sometimes blacks are a little bit muddy and stuff like that, and sometimes it'll look better at the house. But I was like, oh, it's kind of what I experienced at the theater. So I was just like,
hmm
that's probably just the way it's supposed to look. So, I mean, that's the only time that I thought blacks. Maybe somebody would say something about the blacks in that scene, but from what I recalled, that's what it looked like. So I was just like, okay, that's what it is.
yeah.
Other than that, yeah, man, the blacks were great. It's not like a super dark movie.
No, no. There's just
Yeah,
some. It's not a. There's some really bright scenes like in the desert during the daytime, but like it's pretty much like you're not gonna. It's not gonna look like super colorful like you said, and it's not gonna have like this wide color spectrum. I mean, they're out in the desert with like 95% of the movie, so not a whole lot of color out there.
yeah. There was a part when I was at the IMAX when they're in the desert. It's like the sky's all white, and then the sand is beige or brown or whatever. And I was thinking to myself back when I was watching it in IMAX, I was like, oh, it's a little washed out looking. Maybe it's like overly blown or something like that. But then I saw it in Dolby and I was like, oh, it's just what it looks like. I was like, well, maybe
Yeah.
it'll look better at the house. And I was like, oh, it's just what it looks like because it looks exactly the same as IMAX and then Dolby at the cinema. Because like the whites, you didn't really notice clouds or anything like that.
Hmm.
It almost looked like it was like too hot. But then, I guess that's just natural light. Stylistically, that's what they shot. I don't know if they used ND filters or not. It didn't look like it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, I figure maybe somebody would say something about that as well. But no, I mean that's just the look of the film, and yeah, I was very impressed with it. I thought it was looked just as good as the first one.
Oh yeah. I actually, so I noticed that too, because I know what scene you're talking about. When I was watching it yesterday, I was like, "Is that blown out the
Yeah.
sky?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's just like you said. It's probably just like that, stylistic choice. And plus, they were using real light." But yeah, I actually think it looks even a little bit crispier than the first one.
Mm.
But that's just me. My biggest thing is, and I don't have a whole lot of movies on Kaleidoscape yet. I think I've got like 4 or 5, maybe 6. I was disappointed that we're not getting the IMAX because I'm like, dude, this is like if there was ever any perfect movie for scale and IMAX, a home transfer was the one to do it with Dune Part Two. So I'm sure like in 2 years they're gonna have a re-release and like, oh, this is the IMAX version and make people spend more money. But it's kind of like, come on, man, like,
So
what are you
here's the
doing?
thing, though. When I went, I took video. You're not listen, guys. Don't go in there recording on your phone
Yeah.
screen. I think it's illegal. It's a federal offense.
It is illegal, and I got knocked on YouTube. I got a hit on YouTube because I posted a short, and I
Yeah,
had like a five. I had like a 6 or 7 clip on Kong,
yeah.
and like they removed it. Like they didn't even tell me. Like I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh snap, I got a strike, and they just completely removed my video. So yeah, don't do that.
Wow, they took it down. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Usually they just take my money from it, but
yeah. I guess because it was still in theaters, but
but when I did the comparison I took a few shots. It was in my IMAX versus Dolby review. The IMAX scenes, yeah, it has more horizontal footage.
hmm
Like so, there were some like heads that weren't cut off, but there is some picture on the sides that are cut off. Whereas in the reverse, in the Dolby version, sure the heads are cut off, but there's more picture on the sides. So do you want more height information, or do you want more vertical information? I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing. Because I thought it was going to be because I made sure I took a little note on my phone. I was like, check after this part,
Yeah.
and then I'll sync it up and post. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, oh, Isaac, IMAX doesn't have the advantage here because they both have extra information either on the top or on the sides. So you gotta kind of pick and choose which one you want to go. I think for most people that didn't watch my review, they just think that IMAX has the same information on the sides, but more information on the top. When that is not the case, it's either or. You get more on the top or you get more on the sides. So
Yeah.
where in this case, the we're getting the scope version, so we're getting more stuff on the sides. Would I like to have a 16:9 version? Sure, because now I have a 16:9 screen, so I would
Yeah.
like it to fill the screen. But you're not really winning either way. It's easier
Yeah.
either kind of like one or the other.
But you can definitely tell though the shots that were in IMAX that were like we're shooting this specifically for IMAX. Those are the scenes where I'm like I missed that because I remember there was an overhead shot where he goes to where Paul goes to the south and he's walking through the Fremen and you see like all the Fremen that he's walking through. So that was like I think that part was in IMAX, and then obviously the worm scene where he's riding the worm, and then there was another one. Oh, the scene where he goes and he's like, "Long live the fighters!" Like just really like man, it looks really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's kind of nitpicking. Still looks great. It's just it makes me wonder why they do that when they're like, "Hey, we're gonna shoot this for IMAX, but we're not gonna have it on." on screen. What's up, Techno Dad?
Take the
Fried chicken.
fried chicken. I could go for fried chicken right now. You know what I'm saying? On a side note, I went to KFC 2 days ago. I haven't gone to KFC, I don't know, in about 10 years. I've always been a Popeyes guy. Ever since I first tried Popeyes, I stopped going to KFC.
Interesting.
10 years later, 2 years ago, maybe like 7 years, I go there the other day. I notice in the app, oh, extra crispy or original. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go for the extra crispy since I'm a Popeyes guy. And I came home.
Burnt.
I was like, oh, no, no, no. I was like, oh my God, this tastes like Popeyes. A little
Really?
bit less sodium, a little less salt on
Huh.
it. Just as crispy, as much, a little crispy, the crunchiness around the edge of
I
the
love that.
chicken. Usually when I go to Popeyes nowadays, my stomach is in pieces when I'm done. I mean, it's like they don't even change the oil
Yeah,
in
that's
Popeyes.
gross. I hate that.
If you want to lose a couple pounds, you go to Popeyes. You're going to lose at least 4 pounds, okay? But with KFC, tasted just as good. The biscuit, not as salty as the Popeyes biscuit,
Yeah.
but still pretty close. The potatoes, I do prefer the Popeyes potatoes better. But I'm going to say chicken-wise overall, I'm going for KFC from now on. I'm not going to have the runs after going to Popeyes. I'm going to KFC.
I've always preferred KFC's flavor, like their seasoning, over Popeyes. But Popeyes biscuits are like you can't touch
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. Except that butter, like they put the butter on it. It's
Oh
salty.
man, yeah, it's good. But the
Okay,
last,
well-
real quick, the last time I ate Popeyes was in 2009. I know that's very specific because my brother and his wife and his kids were living with me and my parents at the time, and they all got a stomach flu, a stomach virus, and I got it a week later. And the last thing that I ate before I had projectile vomit was Popeyes. Like, I'm not lying. I had chunks, and ever since then, I have not eaten since 2009, man. So I'm good with Popeyes.
Oh my God! Hold on a second. Bonchon. Have you ever had Bonchon fried chicken?
Never even heard of that, man. What is
Dude, it's
that?
Kore-
Bonchon?
It's Korean fried chicken, dude. It's the best fried chicken.
I mean, it sounds
I mean,
good.
if we're talking about like fast food type of fried chicken.
I don't think we have those
Dude.
here in Texas.
Oh really? Well, I mean, you guys got like real fried chicken probably. But Korean fried chicken is fucking. It's like it's the best. Now I kind of miss it now because we don't have a Bonchon around here. I forgot. I think they double fry it. Like they fry it first. At least from my understanding, they fry it first because I watch all these food channels. They take it out, they let it rest for a little bit, then they put it back in, they fry it again.
That's the way to do
and
it.
it's just like super crispy. It's not like you get the thick crispy crust around it like Popeyes and KFC does it. It's a really thin,
Then, yeah.
and then they put it back in. Like it doesn't bubble up and get all crispy. It's just
Korean
real
and-
thin. Yeah.
Korean infused
do it.
food is good. They know how to do it.
Okay. Enough of the fried chicken tangent. Thanks, Chana, for putting us on the fried chicken tangent here. Bonchon. All right, so yeah, so we saw it on the Kaleidoscape. So this is, I would assume that it's going to look probably very similar, if not exactly the same, on physical media, which is coming out in a couple of few weeks. There will be links down in this video's description if you want to pick up from Amazon your copy of Dune Part 2. I have heard that there's going to be like a steelbook version, maybe like a special edition that doesn't have the extras on the same disc. I don't know if you heard about that or not.
Well, I posted a community post a couple, maybe last week, and it had the 4K version, and then it had the steelbook for 4K version, and then it was the 1080p version. So I think I posted all the specs. Let me see if I can pull it up, but it was like 3 different versions. So I mean I stopped buying steelbooks years ago just because I had stopped collecting. I had started throwing away the cases. I was collecting them at the time, but I was like,
Wait,
this
what
is
did
just
you?
taking-
Did you just say you threw away your steelbook cases?
No, I didn't. I was throwing away the plastic cases. I was
Okay.
So I was collecting. I had like a little stand where I had them all in the case, and then once I got up to once I filled that up, I was like, all right, I don't want to keep buying stands because I was living at my parents' house and I didn't have a whole lot of room. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna invest in one of those like suitcase things where it has a sleeve. But
Yeah.
I still had all my steel books, and I ended up selling them to my coworker for like real cheap because my coworker collects them. But yeah, so let's see, Dune.
You could sell those on eBay, man. Like, people pay money for
Yeah,
those
they do.
cases. Yeah.
I just like, I want to get rid of these. My coworker was like, me and him always used to talk about movies. He's like, hey man, I'll buy them for me. So I sold them to him.
How
Let's
dare you?
see.
How dare you sell that cover art?
I know. Well, he bought them. He used to buy he used to buy the plastic cases from me too because he's like, man, I don't know what it is about me, but he's like, every time I buy one, he's like, 1 out of 3, the case is like cracked, and I open up the disc, and the disc is just like moving inside. So he would take the plastic case and then take the little sleeve cover out and then put it in the new one. I don't think this says. Yeah, it doesn't tell me on the steelbook whether it has the extra stuff or not. But I mean, I'm curious. Do you ever look at that stuff? I've never.
Extras?
Yeah, extras. Like I never watch any of that stuff. I would always. I
Yeah.
get the disc. I rip it to MKV, and I never touch the disc again. I don't really care about it.
I So here's my thing with extra. I mean, if I watch extras, it'll be like from scrolling through YouTube, and it's like, oh,
Right?
making of suit for Batman. I was like, oh, let me just see this really quick. That's the only way I'll watch extras, but
Right.
I'll never watch it on the disc because in my brain, I'm like, oh, Arrakis is a real place. I would like to just keep Arrakis as a real place in my brain. I
Pandora.
don't want to know that it's fake. I mean, I know it's fake, but I don't
Right.
want to know how you made Arrakis look like Arrakis. I would just like to know in my fictional mind, oh, I would like to go here someday. I don't want to know that it's a matte painting or a digital LED
That's
screen.
funny.
Yeah, just keep me in the wind here. I don't want to know anything about that stuff. It makes it more enjoyable to me. That's how I feel it. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I was never into it. Actually, that same coworker, he was like, "Man, you never watched." He's like, "I love that stuff." He's like, "I hate it whenever they release this." I was like, "Dude, I never touch that stuff. I rip the main movie, and then the disc goes in a little sleeve in a case, and it stays there unless I have to like ever re-rip it." I mean, there's been some movies where I watched it, but it's probably been it's probably been 20 years since I've watched like some deleted scenes or extra footage stuff. Even the like, it kind of annoys me whenever a disc comes with an extra disc, because then I'm like, now I have to save room for this disc that's just extra stuff that I'm never gonna watch and it's gonna take up space. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I wish they had like maybe like a standard version. Like you give us like 100 gig disc and just put the movie on the 100 gig. Just max it out. Make that like $15. And then maybe if you want to get the collector's edition with the extras, make it like $25. Like give us two
Yeah.
versions. Obviously, the way with physical media is now, that's not going to
Oh,
happen.
they're never gonna do that. No.
Yeah, but I would like that. I would like that option.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't just max out the disc, like, because when they were talking about coming up with 4K Blu-ray, that was the big thing. Like, oh, we got these dual layer Blu-ray discs that we can use. So it was like, oh wow, we're gonna get like more bit rate, higher bit rate, and then it was like, oh yeah, they put them on single layer, and it's like 40 gigs, 30 gigs. Sometimes they'll go up to like, I think what was Endgame or Infinity Wars. I think that one was pretty high, and I think maybe Avatar. But it's like, yeah, they don't ever utilize the full disc just for the movie.
The What about the audio commentary? I think the only time I've listened to the audio commentary was on Tropic Thunder, because it was
Of all
like
movies.
no, because it was like because he said in the movie, he goes, I don't wait, have you ever seen Tropic Thunder?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
He goes, he said, I don't drop character till after the DVD commentary. He stayed in character till after the DVD, after the
hilarious.
commentary.
That's hilarious.
So I had to
forgot
watch
about
it just
that.
for that. I watched it just for that. But yeah, no, I normally don't listen. I think I've only listened to two commentaries. That's Tropic Thunder and Fight Club. Those are the only two commentaries I think I've ever listened to.
Actually, now that you mention it, I probably do the exact same thing. Like whenever it pops up on YouTube, I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. And I have the disc, but it's I don't know. Like I'm not gonna take the disc out and pop it in my Blu-ray player just to watch that. So
Yeah.
whenever it comes out, what 6 months or a year later on YouTube, then yeah, I'll watch it. But like the actual disc, I don't ever. I don't care about those. I think I've thrown away some of those too.
Maybe if they had like a commentary like on if they had like on Kobuz or Title like movie commentary section, I would probably listen to it like in the car while driving. I mean, that would be something. I don't know why they don't do that.
And I know that there's been a couple movies because I remember I ripped the wrong one, but there's been a couple movies where like I've ripped it when I first started doing it, and I didn't know like which audio track it was, but there was some that actually you could, if you ripped it, it had, or you could watch it with the commentary on during the movie.
Oh yeah, I
You
remember
remember
that.
that?
Do you remember they used to have branching? It used to be like if you, I think it was like Aliens. Maybe you could watch it, and a little alien thing would pop up. You could tap on it. It would bring
Oh
you to
yeah,
a
yeah,
behind the
yeah.
scenes clip. Yeah,
Yep.
that stopped.
That's probably a
Oh, oh,
waste of resources, man. People weren't using it enough.
yeah, all that stuff stopped. It used to be like BD Live. You remember that? I
Yep,
think
I
that's
remember
what's called
BD
BD
Live, and it was like horrible quality.
Yeah, all that stuff just like stopped. What about? Oh, hold on. So we were talking about the aspect ratio. So yeah, so no aspect ratio. I mean, there hasn't been Dune Part One. There is no IMAX version of that available anywhere, as far as I know. Are
You
they
know,
ever going to come out with one?
you know what they're gonna do? They're
They'll
either
probably
going
wait till
to.
a three.
That's what yep. They're gonna wait
Yeah.
till the third one comes out. They're gonna have a disc set, and it's gonna have like 8 discs in it, and it's gonna have like IMAX ratios. It's gonna have all that stuff, and then people are gonna be like, oh, "I gotta buy this again." I'm
Yep.
not. I mean, but
I
I
don't.
am
I
gonna
don't
buy it
know.
twice, but just because I want the Dolby Vision version. But yeah,
I don't think he's got enough like pull like Christopher Nolan does to be like, yeah, listen, you need to have IMAX version of this. I don't think he's that big yet to be
I don't know
demanding
how
that kind of
I don't know
version.
how that works. So is it the director that's like goes to the studio like James Cameron like, hey, I want to re-release this with this, or is it just the studio's like, we want to re-release this and make more money off of it? I don't know how that works.
I'm positive Christopher Nolan is like, you have to release it the way I want it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But I
but
mean, like,
I don't think Denis got that pull yet.
I mean, he keeps making these movies. He might get there. And I was thinking because I was like, there were some movies that I didn't realize he did, other than Dune, which I have. Let's see, he did. What's the other alien movie that he did with
Oh yeah, he did Arrival.
Arrival? So I
Yep.
have that one. I like that one a lot. I didn't even know who he was at the time,
Yeah.
but he did that one. I think that's the only other movie from him that I've seen. He doesn't have a whole lot of
No, he did
movies.
Arrival. He did what's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman? Prisoners.
I haven't seen that one.
It's got those two plus the guy that played the Riddler. Blade Runner 2049. I know you saw that.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
I believe he did Sicario, the first one.
I haven't
I know
seen
you saw
that.
Sicario. You didn't see Sicario?
Mm-mm.
Dude, great movie.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, great movie. It's one of those movies that you see it the first time, you're like, oh, great movie. But then you kind of forget about it. And you're like, Sicario. I was like, what's Sicario again? And then it comes on TV or something like that. You're like, oh, great movie. So it's not like something I'm always just like seeking for. But when I watch it, you know why it's so great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got Emily Blunt and
it's actually got Thanos in it too, right? Or is he in the,
yeah,
is that
yeah,
the second
yeah.
one?
He's in it too. Wait, is that the second one?
Him
I know
and
it's
then
badass though.
Benicio.
Oh no, Benicio del Toro. Yeah.
But he's in it too because I saw him. It might be the second one because I saw him talking. I saw him on YouTube talking about like some of his movies that he's done, and he was talking about Sicario. So maybe it was the second one.
Yeah, maybe it was the second one. I don't even remember the second one because I think the first one was so much better than the second one. Sicario 2. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the audio really quick here. Well, let's go. Dolby Atmos. Man, I saw this. I saw it in IMAX. I said it in my review. IMAX just, I don't know what's up with IMAX. They have so much bass in
Yeah.
IMAX. It was like incredible
Well,
bass.
not the one I went to. I was Majorly disappointed.
Mine was pretty good. But my Dolby was just like my Dolby still has a broken subwoofer somewhere on the left side of the wall.
Hmm.
Every time, every movie I've been to for the past like 2 months, it's like pop, pop, pop.
Really?
Yeah, even my wife was
What?
like, my wife don't even care, but she's like, I'm pretty sure the subwoofer's broken over there. I was like, oh, I was like,
Why
okay.
wouldn't they fix that?
I don't know, man. It
That's
pops like all the
horrible.
time.
Ask for my money back. I'd be like, hey man, y'all need to. So I'm wondering if these theaters don't even like calibrate because they should be. In my eyes, they should be calibrating per movie because every movie is not mixed the same. And the issue that I had with my IMAX, so there's an IMAX in Houston that I go to that's like the biggest screen. For I didn't go to that one. So there's one that's close by my house because I had already seen it once, and I was like, I'm not gonna drive 40 minutes just to go see it. I'll go, 15 minutes down the road. And I was like, so I saw it twice with a couple of the same friends that I saw it the first time, and I was sitting there and I was like, during the trailers, I'm like, why does the right back speaker sound like 20 dB hotter than everything else? And I looked at my friend, I was like, do you hear that? He's like, yeah, I kind of hear it. And then I was like, well, maybe it's just because of the trailers, whatever. And then the movie started, and it was like, I'm not hearing any bass. Like, the standard version that I saw it in the standard screen sounds better than this. And I looked at my friend, or after the movie, my friend was like, is it just me? Was IMAX underwhelming? I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, there was no bass, and that right back speaker was like 20 dB hotter than everything else. So I think they just don't. They must not be calibrating like regularly or checking it. I mean, I don't know what would cause the speakers to do that anyway. Like if you just set it and forget it, it should be fine. But like I said, I think they should be calibrating per movie because I mean every movie is not mixed the same way. So, but
I don't. I had somebody leave a comment that said that either Dolby or IMAX has an auto calibration per movie, like it
really,
automatically sets levels per movie.
let's
I don't know how.
crap
I'm
then.
not sure how true that is. I mean, I would like to find out, but that's what somebody had left in the comments.
Yeah, I like to know
I
what
mean,
kind of system they're using. Like, what are they doing to process the audio?
in my mind, there's nothing but teenagers that work at all the theaters I go to. I'm just thinking they just go back there, just turn up the volume to like whatever's got a little tape mark with an arrow next to it. Probably they just they just turn it up and then walk away. That's in my mind. That's how it works. But I would like to know what the process is for theatrical audio.
Yeah, and if you saw, I would think in a Dolby Cinema where it's Dolby Atmos, I would think that there's a standard like, hey, somebody needs to come and check this movie before for at least for Dolby Atmos, because I mean you've got some of those theaters Dolby Atmos have what 32 channels. Like you kind of want to
Hmm.
make sure that those are all balanced right, and it's not just mayhem coming out of every speaker. But I think I've been to one Dolby Cinema, and I can't even remember what it is. It's been years ago. I want to go to another one, but I was not impressed with that IMAX theater. The other one that I go to is always banging, but sometimes I feel like it's too loud. Where I'm like, man, this is kind of hurting
Yeah,
my ears.
yeah. Sometimes they do that. Like sometimes the IMAX I go to is just overly loud. I'm just like I usually get napkins so I can put in my pockets and then I'll like roll it up and put them in my ears if they it's too
Yeah.
loud. But for Dune, yeah, they did it right for Dune. At least in my theater, they did it good for Dune. But for the home mix, I told Jordan this the other day. I wanted to recreate the IMAX experience at my house because I had recently just set up my home theater is it's like 99% done now. But I dropped the IMAX version or the IMAX version, the Kaleidoscape version. Kaleidoscape version dropped at 4 o'clock in the morning. Hold on, this is one thing I hate about Kaleidoscape. Everybody, if it's a new release, it drops at 12 a.m. their time zone.
Mm,
iTunes, Vudu, Movies Anywhere. Kaleidoscape is like sometimes it'll be at 3 a.m., sometimes it's 4 a.m. There's
really?
been times it's dropped at like 6 or 8 a.m. And I'm
So
like,
so that's
and I
almost
want to
like
get,
there's almost
yeah,
like
it's
a
like,
dude that's sitting there like, oh snap, it's I gotta
that's what I
upload
thought.
this.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I had asked them, they were just like, oh, we don't really have a time for it. I'm like, what the? I was like, "Yeah, guys,
Why?
don't it make sense, man?
Yeah, like you know that they've got it already. If it's released on the 17th of the month, you know they've had it for a long time before that. So why not just
Yeah.
upload it to your servers and then have it auto like accessible? Because I mean, I was able to purchase it. What I purchased it a couple days before, maybe like a week before. Like because I remember I went to try to download it and it wouldn't even download. I was like, oh, I guess it's gonna.
It
I think it
downloads
downloaded.
it downloads automatically. It doesn't tell you, but it does download.
Yeah. Well, I get an email that says, "Hey, you're like I guess when it actually downloaded that morning, whenever it did, because I remember I woke up and I saw I
No,
had
that's when it gets authorized. It's already there.
okay,
When you get that email, that means okay, now you can watch it.
got you. Okay,
Because if you go into the web interface, it'll say already downloaded, waiting for authorization.
yeah, because I went the day before. I was looking at my on the phone on the app, and I couldn't see them. It wouldn't show me the movie in my library, and it said like download or whatever. So I would hit download, and then it says ready to download. It'll whatever message it says. And I was like, oh, I guess it just doesn't. I thought it just downloaded it, and then you just couldn't access it. But like I couldn't even see it in my library, even though I had purchased it. So,
Yeah, I mean mine shows like downloaded already,
huh?
but then I think there's another line that says waiting for like authorization to view. I'm like, okay, so it's already there. Because I used to get impatient. I would click on it like 4 times. I'm like, download,
That's what I
download.
did. I did
And
that.
then it'll show in your queue. It'll be like, download queue, download queue, download queue. And then the first one would be like, already downloaded. And then
Huh?
waiting for authorization.
Mine didn't say that. Maybe just because I was on the app. But yeah, because I kept hitting download, and it would say downloading, and then I would check it later, and then it would go back to saying download. I'm like, did
Yeah.
I just hit this? And then I did it again, and I watched it, and it said downloading, and then I was like, oh, I guess it won't download because it's too early, even though I purchased it. But I don't understand why they don't have like a set time. Like it's almost like there's like one dude that's uploading it, and it's like, oh man, I
Yeah.
came back from
I
lunch
asked
too
them,
late. I
man.
got,
Hey, I was like, why don't you just release it at 12 a.m. like everybody else, like iTunes? They're like, oh, well, nobody really cares. He actually said, like, he goes, oh, it's not like a big deal. Nobody really cares. I was like, what are you talking? I was like, I care, obviously. Yeah, so that means if I
right?
care, there's other people that care.
And you're in a different time zone, so
Yeah. I was like, come on, man. And then, so yeah, so I downloaded that. I usually, I'm gonna say 80% of the time, it's like 3 a.m. So I was all ready to go at 3 a.m. because I think that's 12 a.m. West Coast.
okay.
So I was ready to rock at like 3 a.m. Got my Raisinets ready. I was like, oh, this is one of these situations where it's gonna be like 6 a.m., isn't it? So I go back, lay down in the bed. 4 a.m. it releases. I get the email like you got. I was like, all right, get out of bed. I mean, I'm just sitting there. I'm kind of disappointed at first. I was like, yo, where's the bass in this movie, guys? I was like, what is going on here? I go to check my subwoofers and my levels, my curves. I was like, a little bit more. I'm way past my normal reference level. I'm like,
Dang.
still sounds clean. I mean, I got way more space, so I got way more breathing room. We get to the worm scene. I'm just like, I was like, oh, here it is. I was like, maybe I just didn't pay attention at the IMAX, but this is IMAX situation here. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. Then the next day, I'm editing the footage for the review. I just hear. I was like, am I getting a delivery today? Open the door. I automatically recognized who she was. It's my neighbor. I was like, hello. I said, how can I help you? She goes, hi. He goes, I'm your neighbor. I was like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I said, I recognize you. And she goes, yeah, hi. He goes, my name is Jessica, by the way. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. I said, I'm Shane. She goes, I can bet that you're a big gamer. I was like, nope. I was like, I'm not really a gamer. I was like, why do you ask? He goes, okay. Well, she was like, well, because me and my daughter were just wondering, like 4 a.m. in the morning, if there was a thunderstorm
That's
outside
hilarious.
because her windows are rattling. I was like,
Her windows are rattling.
I was like, oh. I was like, okay. I was like, I can see what's going on. I was like, my apologies. I was like, my
Put two and
apologies.
two together. Oh yeah, that's right.
And then she goes, oh, listen. She's like, listen, she goes, I promise you I'm not a problematic neighbor, but I just want to let you know that my husband has a stereo too. He's the guy with the big black truck. He goes, my husband has a stereo too, and he has a nice subwoofer. We have subwoofers and speakers. I was a little surprised she knew what a subwoofer was.
That's hilarious.
She goes, we like to jam out our music too, but he goes, I just want to let you know that like my daughter's bedroom was shaking at like 4 in the morning, and the windows were kind of rattling, but
That's
I
pretty impressive, actually.
yeah, and it's not like super close. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah, man.
It's a good distance. And I was like, say no more. I said, no problem. I said, I'm
That
not
makes
gonna.
me wonder.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna. I said, I'm not gonna turn up the music late at night anymore. I was like, don't worry about it. It's like not a big problem. She goes, yeah, I just don't want to be a problem. I don't want to be a problem. I was like, no. I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, thanks for letting me know.
Oh, if
And
you keep it up, she's gonna be a problem.
I mean, during the day, I'm cranking it. I don't care during the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if you do that for her, she's saying it's
Yeah.
not going to be a problem. She's going to come knocking again. If you, but that's wild. That I mean, it does. I talk about that in my review. I just finished writing my review, and I was filming some stuff today. Actually, what happened to me was, so I watched it. I started watching it. When did it come out? Tuesday. Came out Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started watching it Tuesday night late, and I was like, I'll watch, 30, 40 minutes, and then I'll watch it tomorrow. I finished watching it tomorrow, and I was like, man, this is a killer, like, soundtrack, man. I think this is one of the best that I've heard, and the bass was, like, thumping, man. I mean, like, my walls were rattling, my door. Like, I got to find some ways to stop some of the rattling. I probably won't be able to stop everything, but, dude, and it's clean and tight, but I was watching it, finished watching it, and then today I was filming some like B-roll scenes and stuff, and I was sitting on the front row, and I was doing an angle of the subwoofer, and I was looking at the subwoofers, and I'm like, I don't see the drivers moving. What's going on here? And I was like, I know this thing was thumping like yesterday when I was watching it. And so I got up and I went and I touched the driver, and I was like, okay, I kind of feel it vibrating, but it's not moving. And so I sat there again for another like 5 minutes. I'm like, nah, something's not right. So I was like, I went and turned off, because I had all my subwoofers going. I turned off the Arendal subwoofer. I turned off my SVS subwoofer. And then I played it again, and the drivers weren't moving. And I was like, what the heck? I'm like, I haven't touched this since I watched it. So I have and I don't know what happened, but I have my Stark Sound subwoofers plugged into like a smart switch, and somehow the smart switch was turned off. So I turned it on, and I was like, hold up. It was thumping that hard without my 15-inch subwoofer. So I'm kind of scared to like play it with all my subwoofers now. But man, the bass on that movie is, I talk about that in the review. I think it's probably as dynamic, if not more dynamic than, for me, Ready Player One. Because Ready Player One is like my number one reference, like demo worthy. But this one is like, dang, they did this home release right. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's good. I do think the first one's got a little bit better bass.
Really? See, I think this one does. I have to
think
go
so.
back and watch it, but also I don't have and it's hard to just do it unless I have two copies. But since I've been buying movies on Kaleidoscape, I kind of feel like the audio's better. Like I've noticed, it just seems like the fidelity is better, like the bass is tighter. But I don't have any of the movies that I have on 4K Blu-ray to compare it to the Kaleidoscape version. But I mean, so far this is the best audio that I've heard on any digital release compared to
Don't call it don't call it digital. Don't confuse the people.
streaming. Well, that's the thing. It's like, what's funny about that, you mentioned that. So when I downloaded it, and I never paid attention to this before, but when I went to download it, it asked me, do I want to download an HD, 4K HD, Ultra HD, or 4K HDR? And I was looking, I was like, wait, what? And I was like, I guess the Ultra HD doesn't have HDR. So I was like, no, I want 4K HDR. So
I
I
asked
don't
that
even know
too.
what to call it.
Like, yo, why is 4K sometimes a bigger file than 4K HDR?
That's weird, man. That was the first time I had seen that. Like I said, I've only downloaded like 5 or 6 movies, but when I went to download it, I was like, wait, what? I was like, why do I have 3 choices? And it was confusing me, because I was like, okay, 4K Ultra HD, 4K. It took me a second. I was like, oh, the 4K Ultra HD must not have HDR. But I was like, why would I want to download a lesser version of the movie.
I don't know. Unless you got maybe if you have like a really low powered projector, maybe the 4K
Yeah, that's
minus
true.
HDR might be the best bet for you. I mean, I should probably try it too. I've never tried it yet. Um, but yeah, I mean, bass was Atmos killer mix. I mean, there's a lot of. I don't think it's the most dynamic Atmos mix that I've heard. I would say that the creator probably the most recent dynamic Atmos mix I've heard, but still awesome mix. I mean, it's right on par with the first one, which I also gave it 10
Oh
to
yeah.
as well. And just the subtlety, the subtle stuff. Although the part, I mentioned in the video where Florence Pugh is talking to the Reverend Mother outside and the birds are chirping in the background. I was like listening to it. I was like, yo, how many fucking birds are in this background? There's so many birds. It's like, why is it so loud? There's so many birds in this background. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I was just like,
I didn't notice the birds, but there was something else, and I don't remember what it is right now. But I was watching it yesterday, and I was like, I had to rewind it. I was like, I don't remember hearing that in the theatrical version. It was something that was like kind of just like atmospheric. It might have been some animals or something, but I could hear the separation and I could hear the depth. So it was like you heard everybody talking, but then you heard these other things that was like you could tell they were like way past where the actors were, but then I could also hear stuff that was like within. It was real. I was like, dang, this is a good mix, man, because I don't remember hearing this. And of course, when you watch a movie for the first time, you don't get to pay attention to all that stuff. So it may be one of those
yeah,
things where I just didn't notice. But man, this I think this is going to be the best one of the year. Like as far as like, I will say this: somebody better win an Academy Award for sound design, audio design, because it's pretty incredible.
there's a scene where Batista when Batista is going to go try and kill the Lisan Al Gaib, aka Paul Atreides, aka
All the three names that he has:
three names he's got.
Muad'Dib,
Muad'Dib,
Usul.
Usu.
Like, man, I can't keep up with this. Paul Atreides, Usul, Muad'Dib.
So he's about to go. He's pissed off. They all get into the field. They're in the chopper. They're going to fly before he cracks the guy's neck for not blowing up the whatever he's doing. There's a part in the chopper where it's like, or in the back speakers somewhere. It's just like, it's like
The sound of the chopper.
yeah, but it sounds like maybe your speakers are a little blown. Yo, what the? I was like, what's going on with these Ascendos, man? But it's just like it's so slight and subtle. It's just a
It's
little rickety sound back there,
well
and
done.
it just it's like super. It just sounds super real. I was like, oh my god. So I had to rewind it, and then I paused it. I was like, that's a speaker, or it
Yeah.
could just be my theater design choices.
Now there's definitely some things in there where I'm like, kind of like that too. I'm like, is that my speaker or is that real? Am I hearing that? But also one part that was kind of like not impressive, but just kind of stood out with the hype channels when they first when they start bombing the emperor's like not his ship, but whatever it is that they're standing in. Like I don't did they bring that with them or was that already there? So after he goes like he's like long live the fighters. And he looks to Gurney. He's like, now Gurney. And Gurney's like, fire. And they fire all those missiles. And it goes
Oh,
and it starts blowing up, whatever that
the
that
silver globe
that
thing.
silver thing. But I was like,
Yeah,
but it wasn't hitting the globe first. It was hitting that other thing beneath it. I'm like, was that already there? Or did they bring that and like, because they were standing, it's almost like they're standing in a palace. But I'm like, this is a palace just sitting there in the middle of the desert for them
oh
to,
yeah,
because I'm like, where did
yeah.
that
Did
come
they
from?
fly that there?
I don't know. That's what I was trying to
Is
figure
that the
out.
ship? Man, now you
It's
got me thinking. I didn't think about that.
But you know that part when they start bombing it
Yeah,
and they show them the inside and you can hear that metal like
yeah.
shaking and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, like I watched it again. I was like, wait, so the ship flies in, but they're standing in that they're in that palace or whatever it is, that metal palace. I'm like, was this just sitting here in the desert? Like, nobody was using it, the firmware, or did they bring that with them and then like set all this stuff up? Because I remember when they were looking through the binoculars, he was like, "Man, he brought his whole army," but I'm like, where did that structure come from? That, and another biggest thing for me is, okay, you got the Fremen when they show us how they get onto the worm, right? How the heck did they get off of that thing? Especially when the scene where they're taking Lady Jessica when she's a Reverend Mother and they're taking her to the South. You've got like 150 Fremen on there. I'm like, how did they get off of this thing? Like, no one's talking
Yeah.
about this. And how do you get whatever carriage that thing is onto that worm, a movie worm?
And then they come in with a battalion of worms towards the end of the movie. I'm like, were you guys like waiting somewhere to hop on these worms to make the attack? Like, where are you
Yeah.
guys hiding? It wasn't behind the tree line. I was like, where? And guys, ambush! Worms go!
Let's go. And I'm like, okay, so now they're all like synchronized and everything, and they're like working in unison. Because they also showed us that little worm, they were like, we have to do one at a time because if we put two, they'll fight. But then they have like 8 of them going to the south. Like, what? But yeah, so that, and also too, what was really cool audio wise was the stadium or Coliseum, whatever it was on
Yeah.
the black and white scene. That was
Yeah.
really cool. Like were those like supposed to be like fireworks? But it looked like liquid.
Yeah,
I'm
I
assuming
thought
that's
that
supposed
too.
to be fireworks, but that was cool. And then like the chants in that Coliseum stadium, whatever, that was the most kind of, for me, the most realistic I guess stadium, because most of the times when I hear stadiums on like Blu-rays and stuff, I'm like, this doesn't really sound like a stadium to me. That one, like, it's loud, it's like powerful, it's a really good mix.
Yeah, that's one thing I missed from the first movie was remember where they're outside and they're doing the chants out in the rain, all the soldiers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. I guess the stadium scene is kind of like that same
Yeah.
scene for part 2. Yeah, the whole mix was good. I mean, the whole stadium scene with the crowd. I think they were chanting his name. They were saying like
Fade Rao, whatever. Yeah, they were fading Rao, and then they were saying something else too. And then you have like that horn in the background. It's like burn.
Oh yeah, when he was I was gonna say this in the review and show the little graph, but when they go take off to go kill Paul Atreides, there's that horn that goes. It goes from the front of the room because you can see the objects. They go from the front to the back. It's like
Yeah.
ew, ew, ew.
It's pretty
I'm like,
cool.
oh shoot! I was like, yo, that's cool. Maybe I'll do
They
that for the 4K Blue.
Man, whoever did that sound design, because sometimes you hear them in the theater or you see it in the theater, and then they do the transfer. You're like, man, this transfer is whack. This one, like, it's 10 out of 10, man. They need to win some awards. Somebody needs to get a pay raise.
Yeah, it's a winner. Yeah, they're definitely gonna make a part 3. I don't see how they can't.
I
But this is the only. I'm trying to get.
The city's already writing it, but I hear like if they write it off of the. So I just realized. So Dune Messiah, they're actually making a TV series. Because at
Yeah.
first they were saying like he was gonna make the third movie Dune Messiah, but then I've been hearing on, I don't know if it was on Campia or Christian Harloff, but they were saying that they're doing a HBO Max TV series of Dune Messiah. So that makes me wonder what the third book is going to be. Is it still going to be adapted off of Dune Messiah? Because they said that book is like super weird and like some like really, 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 really crazy stuff happens that a lot of people won't like. I've never read the book, so I don't know what they're talking about. But apparently, it gets like just out of this world weird.
Well, I watched like the Dune history or whatever. I guess Paul. I mean, you can kind of tell what's going to happen. I think.
Oh yeah,
in
he's
the
a
second
bad
movie.
dude. He's a bad guy. Right?
Yeah, yeah, he's a bad.
I mean, he
dude.
told you like billions of people are going to die because of me. Like he's not.
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of people. He's not good anymore.
Yeah,
After he drank that worm's piss or whatever they call it, like he's a different dude. But there is that part of him where he told, what is her name?
Johnny.
Johnny, where he's like, Because I remember, yeah, I remember when I saw it in the theater, and he went up to her and he was staring at her. He was like, "I just want you to know that for as long as I breathe, I'll always love you." And I was like, "Oh, this dude's about to do." I
Listen,
didn't know what he was gonna do, but I
I
was like,
blame her,
"Dang,
man. I blame her. She made him go.
that's
She was
true."
like, "You gotta go for the people or whatever." I was like, "Yo, he didn't even want to go. He wanted to stay with
Yeah,
you."
he was like, "I can't. Go. I'm telling you, I can't go." But yeah, man, that's and dude, that like I haven't seen the
Hold
only
on,
other.
and then why is she fucking mad at the end of the movie? I was like, "Oh, now you're jealous because he's got a white princess over here." I was like, "Now you," I was like, "You brought this upon yourself, okay? You made him the
Yeah,
villain." I was like, "Yeah, he's kind of an a hole towards the end of the movie, but still, you made him be the a hole, so I can't
and
really sympathize with you anymore."
she was kind of back and forth with him too, because like when they were in that tent, and what did he say? He said something. Oh, he's like, "I'm Fremen." She's like, "You're not Fremen." I'm like, "Yo,
Yeah,
you just woke up next to this dude. Now you're like," he's like, "Yeah," but he's like,
yeah.
so I'm like, man, she was kind of wishy washy in the movie, but yeah, she's all like angry and everything. But yeah, I mean, I felt I've never seen the only other movie that I've seen him in. Well, and I didn't even know who he was back then. Was in Interstellar. He was the
Yeah,
son of
Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey.
McConaughey.
Yep.
But after this movie, I was like, dang, that's some really good acting. Especially that scene when he walks into the to that gathering where they're having that meeting with all the like tribe leaders and stuff. I was like, yo, this dude can act, man.
He's a good actor. I just don't buy him in this role though, because I was like, you're not. I was like, you're like 98 pounds, dude. I was like, you're
If that
really.
soaking wet.
I mean, if that's what he's supposed to be like in the book, okay. But just
Yeah.
watching it on screen, I'm like, you're like 15. You look like you're 15. I was like, you're badass. I was like, there's no way you're killing Austin Butler in a fight. 0% chance you're doing that.
Yeah, and his character was weird too. And I'm still trying to figure out why he's the only one that had like black teeth. Like I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know,
because they
man.
kept smiling. I was like, is his teeth dirty? I'm like, oh no, his teeth are just. But I'm like, nobody else's teeth like it's not like the whole race is like that. So I'm like, why is his teeth
I
like that?
don't. He's eating too many. I guess they eat people or something. He got rotten teeth. I have no idea. He's like cutting
Something.
up people. He's like, oh, feed,
Bring him
feed
to
my
my chambers.
slaves. They need a snack for the trip to Arrakis.
Yeah, I'm like, what is it? And then
I'm like, okay.
the whole kiss threw me off. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? That's your uncle. Remember that?
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, I don't know. I like the movie. I mean, I wish, I don't know.
Oh, I like it even the more I watch it. So I saw it twice in the theater, and then I saw it start like as I was watching it here at home. I was like, man, this is a really good movie. Because when I saw the first one, I didn't know what was going. I didn't know what was what. I tried. I think during COVID, it was on Amazon, and I tried to watch the first one, and I got like maybe 20, 30 minutes in. I was like, I can't do this. I can't. This is boring. I actually now want to go back and watch it just to see how far it's come since from that iteration. But it's gonna be a tough watch, man.
Oh, the original,
The
84 one?
original, yeah. And I didn't
Dude,
realize.
it's people love that movie. I think it's so bad.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I was 20 minutes into this, and I was like, nah, I'm done. I can't. This is horrible. But I do want to go back and watch it now just to see, like, okay, let me compare it because, just to see like the technology and all that stuff like that and everything. Yo, what happened? My my monitor just changed the screens. I can't see. Am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, oh, my work laptop switched over to the. I guess it lost power and it switched my monitor over. Okay, I'm back now. I can see. But yeah, I couldn't do it, man. But I am curious. So my friends that I went with, they went back and watched it. They were like, I understand so much more now. So I'm kind of like, okay, let me go watch it to see how far it's come with the technology. And like, I mean, I've seen clips and I'm like, man, this looks really dated. Like, this looks bad.
Yeah. This I don't know if it's in the book or not, but they got this thing with it. There's like a cat. I don't know what the cat does. There's like something. I know somebody in the chat probably
Yeah, I
has
saw
seen the
that.
movie.
I saw a
You saw
clip of
that?
that.
I was like, why is there a cat in a cage for? Okay. I think I guess the little his sisters I guess that's what it's like in the book. The sister's got like a deep voice, and she kills. She's supposed to kill.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I watched. I think I watched like like Understand Doom or something on YouTube,
Yeah,
and somebody was talking about that. And his sister was actually in that movie. She was born, but she was little. But I guess she
yeah,
had like all her powers already or something, and she's like super like just ruthless. But I wasn't expecting that when I watched the movie. I was like, yo, why do they keep cutting to this embryo? Like, what is this?
yeah,
And then, like, after she drank that stuff, she's like, oh, yeah, the baby's talking to me. And then they kept, like, the shots were kind of weird because they would show the baby and they would, like move inside the womb. And I'm like, what is, the, what is the point of this? But then you see her, like, a few times later, and you're like, oh, snap, she's getting big already in the womb. And then she's, like, talking stuff. I'm like, yo, this is kind of weird. But
yeah. I guess yeah. So I guess he changed that. I'm not sure how. I think I've never read the books, but I'm not sure how I feel about the whole like if you're gonna adapt something, should you change it or should you not change it?
yeah, I mean, I kind of, I kind of understand sometimes because if you just did, like with comic book movies, if you just straight up adapt everything as it is, it's gonna look super weird. Because I remember when they did Thor, and I was like, all right, how are they gonna do Loki's helmet? Because that sucker is like, like this big. And I mean, they did it still, and it looked cool. But I'm like, I can understand because there's some characters where like, yeah, that's just gonna look too corny, or it's like, well, how do you even do that? I don't even know because I don't remember what movie it was, but there was some movie that people were saying they wanted to get it made, but they were like, I don't even know if the technology that we have now could do what they how they're supposed to look in the comics. So I kind of understand that, but I mean, I get people when they get upset, and that's why I don't like reading the books
Yeah.
be- because I read the Hunger Game or I listened to the Hunger Game books at work with some of my coworkers. That was the first time I had ever read a book and then watched the movie. And me personally, I didn't like knowing what was already going to happen because I had read the book. And I was like, yo, I don't like the movie. I already know what's going to happen now. So it was kind of like took me out of the movie. But I mean, some people like reading the books, but then you have the people that are like, this is nothing like the books. This movie's trash. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I guess that would be kind of weird. Like the original Dune movie was a little bit weird, with having the little sister was like, "I gotta kill you," like she's from The Exorcist.
Well,
So
apparently the actual Dune Messiah book, they said that book is like just all kinds of weird, like super super weird stuff. Like, and I think in one of the books, like Paul Atreides like gets turned in like some type of like half animal person or something.
yeah, like it
I
turns
was
into a
like,
worm or something. I think.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that you probably can't adapt that because people are gonna be like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I can see him changing some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm excited to see part three. I mean, I saw the first one, the second one. It's one of those movies for me, at least. I got to watch it a couple of times to appreciate it, and then I'll really like it. Because the first time I was like, okay, it's one of these you're kind of teetering on falling asleep, and then you watch it a second time, you're like, okay, all right, I know it now. I know what's going on, and then you watch it again, you're like, okay, great movie, kind of like Tenet, the first time I saw it. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I still don't know what's going on in that movie.
I mean, I still
I'm
don't
like
know what's going on
40%.
either, but yeah, I was like, I almost kind of get it, but not get it, but I sort of
Yeah.
understand it. As many times as I watch these videos that try to explain you the timeline, I'm like, okay,
Interstellar's like that too.
yeah, yeah, just the whole, yeah, no, I get it. Interstellar. I already talked about Interstellar many times before. It's all good up until like the last third of it. I'm just like, it's stupid. Now you get stupid.
But I will say for this one, Dune 2, I think they did, even though they didn't like, I wouldn't say they explained a whole lot, but I feel like they did a better job of delving into the Bene Gesserit a little bit more because but I still kind of like, where do they get these powers from? And apparently the Dune Messiah, I guess, HBO series is supposed to either delve into that or there's talks about even like doing like a prequel with the Bene Gesserit. But I want to say that I heard that they're going to talk about that more in the series because that's interesting to me. Like, how do they get these powers? Because they said, like she said in the movie, like, yeah, we've been crossing bloodlines for like 10,000 years or something, or thousands of years. but it's like, okay, well, where do you get these powers from? How come it's only women that are supposed to have it? Because Paul, when he screamed at her, she was like, abomination. So it's kind
That
of like frowned upon, but
that was great at the end of the movie after he kills Fade, and then Jessica turns to the Reverend Mother. I don't know what she says, but then she's like,
she's
"Whoa,
like, yeah. She's like, she said something. So Paul, she was telling Paul right before he was, I guess, confronting the emperor. She was like, you need to be very careful about what you do. He was like, silence. And that's when she was like, oh,
yeah,
and she was like, abomination. But then Jessica, so I didn't realize they could do that because when they were on the Harkonnens planet and the black and white, and Leah Sedow's character, I was like, is she talking to him in his mind? And I was like, oh,
yeah,
they didn't show that in the first one that they could do that. And then Jessica did it with that Reverend Mother. She was like, yeah, you should have believed. And she was like, believe. She's like, "Pfft, we always have a plan B or something like that. But I'm like,
yeah."
now they can like just straight up like talk to you without in your mind. I'm like, okay, they need to like explain more about how these powers work. You chose the wrong side. That's your, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That's funny. I love that part. All right, so that's our thoughts on Dune Part 2 on 4K. I mean, you guys will, I'm sure most of you guys are probably waiting for the 4K disc to come out. I would just assume that it probably looks very similar, if not a little less so, from what I'm hearing, from
If
what
it's
we
smaller,
experienced
then
on the
yeah.
Kaleidoscape. Yeah, so if it's smaller, it might not look as good. If you're watching on a TV, it probably look exactly the same. But yeah, leave your thoughts, man. Let us know. But did you watch any of the James Cameron stuff yet?
No, I need to go back and look and see there. So, and I know this is probably going to blow some people's minds. I've never seen The Abyss, so that was one I was like, hey, I kind of want to check this out because I know he has like a fascination with like water and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never seen that movie, so I was like, oh, and I almost bought it, but I think I waited. But so he had Titanic, Abyss, was it Predator? No,
True Lies.
True Lies.
Yep, True Lies.
I saw True Lies years ago. I don't even remember. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen that movie. But I have not seen any of the other James Cameron stuff. How did the transfers come out? Were they good?
Damn, bro. All right. Well, I saw Aliens, and you could tell that they definitely did some upscaling, artificial detail enhancement on it for like the whole movie. I mean, there's some scenes that kind of look like natural, like it was maybe shot on a digital camera now. But for I'm gonna say like 90% of the time, it's like you could tell there's just some effery going on with the image. Like it just doesn't look like it was shot on film from the 80s. You just know it was enhanced. It's just like if you went to a computer and was like, detail, enhance, and the computer was
Like
like,
they always do, yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh, yeah,
I could
this
tell
is
from
what
the
it looks like.
screenshots just in your video. I was like, yo, that looks
Yeah,
like heavily processed.
yeah. Very, very processed, very polished.
But I mean, like, so my thing with that is movies that old, it's kind of like, what else could you do to it to make it look good? You know, like I think it's one of those things where it's probably the only option, and AI, whatever program or whatever company
Well,
they're using is probably so good. But then it's like, well, how much should you use? You know?
well, I don't know if you've ever seen The Professional, Leon the Professional. You never seen
I
Leon the
know what it is, but
Professional? Natalie Portman's like first movie.
no, I know what it is though. I just never seen it, and apparently it's like a cult classic, right?
It's a cult classic, but it's also a very good movie. It's probably
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
best movies you'll probably ever see.
I need to watch
But
it.
it's that came out I think in 1990, and one of the best movies ever, one of the best looking movies I've ever seen.
And
That
that
was
was done
shot
a
on
while
film.
ago, right? Like the remaster or whatever.
Yeah, I mean I reviewed it maybe 4 years ago. No, I'm pretty sure there's no AI back then. They didn't
Oh no.
do that. They just cleaned up the transfer. 35 mil. It's got film grain. HDR is crazy. It's bright. It's colorful. Obviously, it does look very grainy, but it's just like awesome details, crisp, sharp, with grain, as good as it could possibly be. Lawrence of Arabia also
That's
looks
another one
incredible in
I've heard.
4K.
I've heard that
Yep,
one looks really good too.
and I'm sure Aliens could look equally as good, if not better, than what it looks like now. If he actually, I'm sure James Cameron was just like, okay, you know what? Throw it through, clean it up, throw it through your AI machine. I'll just I'll just sign off on it. I'm sure he hasn't sat there and just watched it. I don't see why he would
Well,
do that.
I'd be willing to bet anything. A lot of it has to do with manpower because a movie that old, like those old movies, like Lawrence of Arabia and Leon the Professional, I don't know how many man hours was spent like doing that, but I can tell you it was probably like months. And they're probably like, hey, we got this AI stuff now. How about we not spend money on a movie that's however many decades old? Let's just
It's
run it through
like,
the AI generator. I'd be
yeah,
willing to bet that's what it is.
I could see that, but like, why would you give the professional this fantastic treatment, which not too many people have seen, but then people have seen Aliens.
Yeah.
It's like changed the genre of sci-fi. Essentially, that's kind of where it started. All like the troops and all that stuff, and future films, soldiers with big machine guns and mechs and all this other stuff. Kind of like that's where all these like newer movies kind of got their ideas from, was James Cameron. Why would you not give that movie the same treatment that you would have given? I get it's two different studios, but like, why would the aliens not get the same treatment? Like, it blows my mind why it
Yeah,
would.
I don't
Like, it
know.
should be that good looking. I just don't understand why it's not.
And maybe they're just trying to. I mean, every seems like everybody's trying to push AI. So maybe it's. I don't know. Maybe there's an agenda behind it. Like, hey, let's push this. And I mean, they were trying to during that writer's strike. They were trying to negotiate being able to use an actor's likeness with AI, but not give any like royalties to the like. Let's say they were talking about specifically like a dead actor. Like, hey, we want to be able to use a dead actor's likeness, but we're not going to give any royalties to the family. And the actors are like, no. Like, first of all, no, you can't use our likeness for AI, period. So it seems like it's just a big push for AI with in everything, like
Yeah.
tech companies, movie. So who knows? But
Yeah, it's just weird, dude. Yeah, when you watch the movie, I mean, it's okay. Like, I think for most of the normal folks out there, they probably don't care. They just like, oh, it's detail, it's a bright image, it looks clean. So, I think for the normal folks, they're gonna be just, oh, this thing looks amazing looking, and maybe that's probably what James Cameron's kind of just he's going for, because he's always trying to push the technology envelope in filmmaking.
yeah,
So
that's true.
I understand that. Maybe this is just the beginning of what it could look like in the future. But
Yeah, maybe it was a trial. Like, hey, let's see how this looks. Let's see what the audience, reaction is to it. And I mean, I'm sure it'll get better and
yeah,
smarter. But yeah, you can always tell when it's when it's over digitized. And it's kind of like, it kind of begs the question, does every old movie need to be like, some people just like it the way it is. I mean, yeah, it's cool to see something that's, I guess, more modern as far as technology, but then you see it like in this instance where you're like, dude, this looks, it's obvious that they did some heavy, AI rendering stuff to it. So it's kind of like, does every movie need to be, or do every show and all these classic movies need to have a remake or a prequel and all this stuff? So it's kind of the same thing with like some of these transfers. Like, hey, maybe just leave it. Maybe just have that nostalgia with it.
yeah. But then it's like, can you really argue with James Cameron? Because
That's
if he
true.
approved it, maybe that's the way he wants it to look. I mean, he's the creator.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and maybe that's the way he wanted it to look. But back then, they just didn't have the technology to make it look like that.
yeah.
So maybe he's like, hey, we have the technology now, and I would think after it was remastered, he saw it. Like you said, he had to have been like, all right, yeah, this looks good. It wasn't like, hey, just do whatever and release it. Like, I don't care. So if he approved it, I guess it's the way he wanted it to look.
He's probably like this. He's like, Mr. Cameron, I'm on Avatar 5 right now. I'm trying to edit it. What's going on? That
Right?
looks good. Go.
He saw it on a mastering monitor, like 32 inch. Yeah, it looks good.
Leave me alone. Uh, but yeah, so I saw Aliens. I mean, it does look better than Terminator 2. I don't know if you saw Terminator 2 or not.
I haven't seen the remastered.
Okay, so I
Is it?
haven't seen the remaster. Well, it looks
Yeah.
better than Terminator 2 and Forrest Gump, so I will give it that. I'm gonna watch True Lies. I think maybe tomorrow. I've heard some only bad things about True Lies, so I'll
Like
be.
the new transfer, or just the movie itself? Because I've seen True Lies. It's just been
Oh no,
years.
yeah, the transfer, the new transfer.
Huh. So it sounds like most of his newest transfers aren't worth. That kind of makes me like not want to buy them now. Because I was like, do I really want to buy these old movies? But
I only got it because they're $15 on Escape, so I was like, oh,
yeah.
$15, I can swing that.
Now that is one thing I will say that everyone that poo poos on Escape, they have some very good deals pretty often. Like I get alerts all the time. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like there's a couple of movies that I bought. I'll probably will wait for Madam Web to come on that Taylor Swift the Eras tour.
Michael Walker, Michael Walker, Michael Walker is a YouTube member.
Nice, nice, Mike. Where's the super chats, man? But yeah, like I don't remember what movie it was. One of the first movies I bought on the Kscape, and I was like, oh, that's like $19 or $15. Yeah, I'll buy that. But then you have like other movies where it's like, man, I don't even care if it's $15. I'm not buying that. Like, I want to see Madam Web just for the pure base of seeing how bad it is, but I can't bring myself to spend like full price for it. So I don't know. I may even just, I don't even know if I'd buy it on
It's not
Kscape.
even. It's not even like a. It's not even like a comic book movie. It's just not like Madam Web, for until the like last shot of the movie.
I've seen
Then
some
she's
of the
Madam Web.
clips. Yeah, I've seen some. I haven't seen that, but I've seen some of the clips and like the dialogue. I'm like, this is horrible. But I just saw today that apparently there's rumors that what's her name's character? What's that chick
Sydney
that's really
Sweeney?
Sydney Sweeney is like supposed to is rumored to be to bring that character over to Spider-Man 4, directed by Sam Raimi. So I'm like,
I don't even know who her character's name is. Why would they take her character and not Madam Web? That doesn't make any sense.
because she's the hot stuff right now. That's all it is. They think it's gonna garner money, but I don't know, man. I mean, the same people. Those were the same directors that made what was that? The one with Jared Leto that bombed.
Oh yeah, Morbius.
Morbius. The same people who made Morbius, they got those people to direct Madam Web. It's like you're 0 for 2 right now. with these writers and directors, so it's like, yeah, maybe you should just leave that alone. Oh, $10 super chat. Look at
Super
that.
chat. What? Hold on a second. Oh, we finally got a super chat. Oh my god, somebody actually appreciates the stuff that we do.
Nice.
Tell that super chat. Always like the hats and your fascination with watches. Thank you, OneFast GXP. No watches today, unfortunately, because I was kind of in a rush. 3 streams today, dude. I did 3 streams.
Man,
One was
that's
just
crazy.
video walls
I'd be tired.
with Gene for an hour, and then we're here right now cooking on an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But thanks for the super chat. Super chats are welcome, guys. If you want to send super chats, get your question answered, send in your super chats. So other than that, I know I just watched The Creator yesterday. I think The Creator is going to be my next review. I thought it was going to be True Lies, but the more I thought about it, the more it makes sense for me to do The Creator because The Creator was shot in the same camera that's in this room right here. The
FX3.
Sony FX3. And I know some people probably have some hate for that movie because it's not FX3 crispy and clean because you put grain on top of it. And I thought that myself when I first saw the movie. I was like, oh, he definitely put grain on this, or he's just really shooting at a crazy ISO in the total darkness and not even using lights. That's what he's probably doing. That's why it looks the way it looks.
So I watched the there's been a whole bunch of like behind the scenes of like where they actually have the director, the director of photography on YouTube, and I watched a lot of them, and it's very interesting. So he said that they chose the FX3. They didn't shoot the entire movie. I think like 85% of the movie was shot on the FX3, but they said they chose that one because of its low light capability. And the director was saying, he's like, I really wanted it to be me on the camera. You know, you have less people that you need for that, but they were using stuff like aperture lights, man. They were using like those. And I have one of them. They were using like a whole bunch of those little aperture lights that they would put around, like in the grass. They put them in there, and I was like, dang, they were like super budget on that. But I mean, it's like you can tell that it it looks amazing for what they shot it on, but you can also tell like there's some scenes in at the nighttime where I can see that there's noise, but it also kind of fits with I guess the genre of the movie. I really really like that movie. I will
Hmm.
say I was a little bit disappointed. I felt like the audio could have been a little bit more dynamic. It's still a good mix,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, like to me the bass wasn't as deep as it should have been for me. But I mean, if you turn it up, it still sounds pretty good. But I was like, ah, man, they kind of missed it. But maybe that was part of their budget, you know, where they tried to cut back a little bit.
I mean, yeah, the Atmos is really active, but I
It's kind
felt
of
like it.
subdued.
Yeah, it was like I can tell that this is a budget. I don't want to be like it's a budget film because visually it's awesome with the
It's
special
awesome
effects
what
and
they
all
were
that.
able to do. Yeah.
But I can tell they're just putting background stuff in just to fill in the speakers. I mean, which is it's cool because if you want your speakers just to make noise and just to like fill the space, I mean, it's there, but it's like constantly there, and your speakers are always doing something, but it's not like creatively put there. It's almost like they're just taking sound and just placing it there
Yeah.
throughout.
Almost like they're matrixing it or something.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was like, okay, I understand what you're doing. It's not like I don't hear that deer crawling from the back right corner to the front. It's just like it kind of just a wall of the same sound almost everywhere. But then there'd be like the occasional stuff where that nomad vehicle will come from the top and blast down a laser.
See that I felt like someone said Disney base. That's the parts where I'm like, yo, this thing should be like destroying my room right now. And I didn't like it still sounds good, but it doesn't sound like it's not like Dune, where Dune's like, man, this is destroying my room. Like stuff is shaking. I just felt like it could have been a little bit more like if they were gonna save money by shooting on the FX3, like put a little bit more, you know, funds into the audio mix because I felt like it could have made it just incredible with the way that the movie was, you know, for what the movie is, with all the you know AI and the robots and stuff. I don't know. I just kind of felt like it was a little bit subdued, and I was expecting a lot more from it. But again, I really like that movie. It didn't. I don't think it really did that well as far as like popularity, but I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Although while watching, I was like, I've seen this movie several times before. And then,
Oh yeah,
just
definitely.
like visually, I was like, oh, I was like, yo, the special effects are awesome. Just kind of like Chappie, Chappie is kind of
Yeah.
Chappie, and then District 9 type of thing, where it's grainy yet still looks real. I still think District 9 is probably one of the best looking sci-fi movies I've seen as far as like special effects, because those prawns they still look like real. Maybe somebody put makeup on and just like was running around. Like you can't really tell it's CG. Like it's so good looking. But
Also, another movie too is, and I think you saw it too, but the Godzilla minus one, that to me is even more impressive than the creator because they made that movie on like a $15 million budget. There's a few scenes where I was like, okay, I can definitely tell that this is a 15. But other than
yeah,
that, I was like, this is incredible, man. Like the fact that they were able to do this on a $15 million budget, like more companies should be looking at that movie and taking notes instead of just like, hey, let's just make everything grander and just, I mean, it's cool. Like I love all that stuff, but you don't necessarily have to spend that much, you know,
yeah,
$250 on a movie to make it look good.
yeah. But he runs so slow. He just not like Godzilla vs
Yeah, now
Kong.
that's my issue that I have, where it's just like it's almost like what's, and I mean he's not nearly as big as the WB Godzilla. But also too, I felt, even though I like Godzilla X Kong, Godzilla and Kong, however you're supposed to pronounce it, whenever that one scene when him and Kong are running next to each other, like that kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. It didn't look like, you could tell it was just straight CG when he was running. It just looked
Yeah.
wonky.
I think the whole movie looks like a cartoon. I mean, ever since the last movie, I was just like, oh, this is just a cartoon now. I mean, it doesn't look like King of the Monsters. It doesn't look like Skull Island. It doesn't look like the original Godzilla. You're just going straight up CG, and people are eating it up. Apparently,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
yeah, I liked it, but hey, at least it doesn't look like Transformers One.
Oh yeah, Transformers One.
I
Well,
saw that.
that's
First of all, I was working from home, and I was like, I have my other computer here, and I was like, oh, there's a premiere they're gonna show, and then I was like, they're gonna show it in outer space, what? And so I clicked on it, and I'm like, it was like an hour of like just this screen. I don't know what is this, but yeah, it like debuted in outer space or whatever. So then, and it was like super janky quality. So then after it finished, I went back to the actual studio's YouTube channel and I watched it, and I was just like, I'm not feeling this at all. Like this, I don't. Maybe the movie is good, but this looks stupid.
yeah. It just looks like a Nickelodeon movie. Because I think there's a Transformers show on Nickelodeon. I was like, oh,
Is there?
I think so. Because if I recall correctly, there is a Transformers cartoon, or a couple of them that use kind of the same CG. I was like, oh man, I thought this was gonna be like a serious cartoon. This is just like a kids cartoon type of thing. And then they're kind of talking like, I get it, it's Generation One or whatever before Optimus Prime. They're kids or teenagers, but
I think they're supposed to be teenagers.
yeah, I was like, man, it just seems a little childish. But I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll see it.
I'll,
But
I'll,
yeah,
I'll watch it. I don't know if
yeah,
I'll watch it in a theater. I'll definitely watch it, but I'm just kind of like, and I guess I wasn't expecting that. I don't think I even realized that it was animated. I guess I just automatically assumed the next Transformers movie was going to be live action.
yeah. I
So it
thought it'd
kind
be
of
like Bumblebee's beginning of Bumblebee
right. So
type of
when I
thing.
saw that, I was like, oh, this is animated. But then as the trailer kept going on, I was like, I don't know about this. This looks kind of janky. And apparently, a lot of people I've been seeing a lot of people say the same thing. But who knows? Maybe the content, the storyline is actually going to be good. But I don't know.
Maybe they got some Marvel alumni in there. They got Thor and Black Widow.
Yeah, I
So
know.
we'll
I don't even
see.
know who Black Widow's character is. I was like, who? What character is
Scarlet
she playing?
Scarlett Johansson. Oh, I don't
Like
know.
her actual Transformers character.
I thought it was RC. It's not RC.
Who's
I
RC?
the motorcycle person from the Bumblebee. She's the pink
Okay,
the pink robot
okay.
from the cartoon movie. Yeah.
So, but before that, she wasn't in any of the other movies, right?
No.
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of like, who is this character? But also, I mean, I'm almost 40. I didn't grow up watching it. I know my brother did. So I can't tell you who all the characters are besides Megatron and Optimus Prime and Bumblebee and like Starscream. Other than that, I can't tell you all the like Transformers characters.
Neither can I. Well, I only know the original cartoon characters, and I was happy that they went to the original designs in Bumblebee. But then it's like why can't we just get an original old school Transformers movie like that? Just make it live. Well, not live action, but just make it look like it's live action.
Yeah.
But they keep doing these stupid designs. Blame
I don't
Michael
know.
Bay for that
Yeah, I was
shit.
gonna say maybe
Yeah.
maybe Michael Bay just ruined it because it seems like they don't know from the consensus from the general public. It just seems like they don't know what to do with the property. I guess so they're just making it like another like action movie. But
Yeah. Is there you don't have Disney Plus, do you?
I do. I have
Oh, do
the
you?
ad. I have the ad version cheap because I was like, I'm probably gonna. At some point, I'll probably upgrade because it is annoying. What's annoying was, and I just figured this out like a couple days ago. So before they had, the ad tier, you could skip through like the little intros and stuff. Well, even on the ad, like on the plan that has ads, the skip thing comes up, and I keep hitting it, and I'm like, why isn't this working? And then I think they must have added it because I'm sure other people were having issues. Now, when you hit it, it says like something like you cannot skip until the you know commercial play. And I was like, oh, it's because it's the ad version. They just didn't bother to remove the little skip thing on the. So it still comes up, but when you hit it, it doesn't do anything. It was driving me nuts. But yeah, I have the ad version. I'm tired of all these price hikes, man. Like with Amazon,
Yeah.
like I've had Amazon Prime for like 15 years, and now I'm being charged because now they're showing me ads, and I'm paying. Like this shouldn't be the case. Like I have Amazon Prime, I'm paying for this. Why am I getting ads on this? But funny thing, the joke's on them because they have a class action suit against them. So
Amazon's gonna win. Who are you kidding? Come on, man.
I don't know, man. Like
I
the
tell you,
the case is pretty good. People are paying for the service, and now you're charging them extra to go to not have ads. It's like, nah, you
it's
can't do that.
well for the long. I don't know how many years it was. I thought Amazon Prime was strictly shipping. All of a sudden, one day, people were just like, "Oh, there's gonna be. Have you watched the show? Blah blah blah." I was like, "On what?" They're like, "Amazon Prime." I was like, "What the hell is Amazon Prime?" I was like, "On the shipping?" They're like, "No, Amazon make." I was like, You can watch shows on Amazon."
I don't
I was like,
remember
"What
when
is
that came
Amazon?"
out, but
And then this is like years ago.
yeah, it's been
Apparently,
a
it's been
while.
around. I was like, Amazon has shows. They were like, yeah. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I have this whole service. I've had it for years. I've never known I could watch shows on Amazon Prime.
So you want to
I
hear something crazy about that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I don't know how many people even know Amazon Prime that is not shipping. Like for me, for the longest time, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I have Amazon Prime for shipping. I don't have Amazon Prime to watch their content because
Yeah, me
I
either.
don't care. I mean, but I use it. But like, if you give me the choice, just give me the 2 day shipping. I don't care about that. But so last month when we went to that Sony private event, they had a bunch of people from all over the world. There's people
BT
from like
Dub,
Spain,
BT Dub. I got
BT
another
Dub.
invite. I got another Sony private event.
Oh, really? For this year?
Yeah, but it's cheap. I'll tell you after the
Okay.
get off. It's pretty corny. It's pretty corny. Yeah, go ahead.
So we met a lot of people like where they were staying at the hotel, and there was this guy. I can't remember where he was from. He was from like Russia or Croatia or something. But he was like, "Hey," he was like, "How does your Amazon Prime work in the U.S.?" And I was like, "Oh," I said, it's Amazon Prime. You pay a monthly fee." I said when I first had it, it was like $99. Now it's like $150, and you get like the shows and all that stuff. And I said now they're charging you for ads, or they're making, if you want to get rid of ads, you have to go to the next service. He was like, dude, in Russia, or like I said, I don't remember where it's from, but it was somewhere over there. He's like, we have the exact same service that you have in the US. Ours is $10 a month. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, we have Amazon Prime, 2 day shipping. We get all access to all the shows. It's $10 a month. And I'm like, why are we paying $150 for the same service? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I didn't even know that's how much it was. I just wanted to ask you because I've never talked to anybody else that has it. And I was like, dude, that's a pretty big discrepancy. So I don't know what it is, why theirs is so cheap, but that's kind of made me mad. $10 a
So
month, man, for the exact same thing that the U.S. Amazon Prime has. Everything.
wait, how much are we paying?
Oh, it's
I
it's
don't
it's
even
like a
know.
hundred. Actually, I think
Not a month.
It's either this month. No, I mean for a year. No, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. I said $10 a year.
They pay $10 a year. They pay $10 a year. Really?
Because I told him I
Wow.
was like, it's $149 a year. Sorry, I said per month. He was like, nah, it's $10. And I'm like, that's why I was like, wait, what? Like, how is
Maybe
that
there's
fair?
it's like just poor. Maybe it's just a poor country. What country is it? Russia?
It was somewhere over there. It wasn't Russia, but it was like Russia or I can't remember. But it was. I mean, he had an accent and everything, and he told me, but I forgot. But I was like, dude, that's like, I was offended, and he was just like, whoa, you pay that much? He was like,
My
nah, man.
my buddy who's in the UK. He signs up with his VPN so he can get the Indian pricing on like Netflix for $3
Oh,
because in Netflix over there is $3 a month.
$3 a month.
Yeah.
Where is this?
Like India.
That's crazy, dude.
I was like,
$3.
he's like, yo, just sign up. You could just sign up and you just get it for $3. I was like,
Yeah, but
I
then
was
you got
like,
to pay for the VPN, so it's like,
why you want me to jump through hoops just so I can get Netflix for $3?
and isn't there like you're still not going to have the same stuff because I mean they have different
Yeah,
like
it's gonna be.
content, so it's like, yeah,
It's weird. I mean, I have a VPN now, just because, and then I can I can log in on my phone or whatever and just use I don't know what they call it. So you can watch different stuff in different territories, but
different on their server, different server they
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah. It's different here and there, but it's usually the same. It's not too much different. Because I
Yeah,
got it because I wanted to watch Underwater in Atmos.
is that not in? Is that not in
Nah,
Atmos?
at least not now.
Really
Yeah, so you
interesting.
can watch it. You can watch it in different every country, but that's not in the U.S. It's on Disney Plus in Atmos. I'll tell you what, it's an awesome mix. Such a
Huh?
good mix.
I watched it. What did I watch it on? I watched it on streaming. Was it Paramount or what's the? Because I watched it during. Was it during the pandemic or was it like right after the pandemic? The movie was okay. I've never been a big Kristen Stewart fan, but it sounded pretty good even on streaming. But I don't remember if it was on Atmos or not.
Yeah, no, it sounds good in 7.1, but for Atmos is better because that kind of movie because it's underwater and
Right.
you're in
Yeah.
aliens and stuff from all around you. I was like, oh, this should be an awesome mix, and it is. It's an awesome mix. I think of it as like aliens except underwater, which I think it delivers on. I think it's an underrated movie, and the Atmos mix is awesome, and so is the 4K. I bought a Kaleidoscape in 4K. It was like $10 or 15. It looks great on there, but I think it looks better on the. It looks just as good. Well, maybe not just as good, but pretty close, but better sounding
Mm.
with the Atmos version. So that's why I got the VPN so I could watch all the other stuff that's on Disney Plus that we weren't getting here. That's in Atmos in other
Interesting.
countries. But I think what else? You got anything to touch on? Anything else to touch on? What's going on in your home
Oh,
theater and what's coming up?
so I am currently working on the Dune Part Two review on that on Kaleidoscape, and then I've got to do a review on the two Stark 15-inch sub stacked. I still have the Arendelle 2V. I think for like 6 months and I haven't. Like I've shot all the B-roll for it. I just got to like sit down and like actually film. So I got to do that. I have a Revon player that I've had for probably 6 months. And actually, actually he asked me back. He asked me for it back because he was like Raphael. He was like, "Hey, do you want the Arvolution AK player to review?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "I need the Revon player back." And I was like, "All right." I was like, because I hadn't even opened up the box yet. I was like, well, I guess I'll just ship this back and not review it. And I was like, hey, can you send me the return label? I haven't heard from that dude in like a month and a half. So I was like, you know what? Let me open this up and actually like review it. So I have that. And then I have an Onkyo. Oh, what Onkyo? I have an Onkyo receiver that I'm going to be reviewing for acoustics. So I have that'll be on their channel. And then yeah, I got some movies coming up in the theater that I'll probably do like some out of the theater reactions and stuff. But I did see what I'm curious is, and I have that Onkyo receiver that does support it. The IMAX Enhanced is going to be available on Disney Plus next,
Yeah.
I think May 17th. Elon Osborne made a video about it, so I'm like, okay, that'll be good to check out to see if it's even actually like better than Atmos because I mean Atmos has just been ruling everything like streaming
Is there
disc.
is there any external devices that you can do besides built-in TV apps?
So I'm wondering about that
Yeah.
because I don't believe. So that's the thing. It's like okay, it's available on Disney Plus, but if you don't have a TV
Yeah.
that supports it, like what's the point? So I'm hoping, and it's probably not going to happen. I'm hoping that somewhere between here and May 17th, maybe Apple and like maybe the Nvidia Shield will push out an update that will allow it. Because I mean Disney Plus, that would be like a huge miss for Disney Plus if they're like, hey, you can only access this on a Sony TV. I mean, it's Disney Plus is on everything, so I would think they would want to get as much reach as possible. But
Unless they got some kind of license deal with Dolby or Apple, that is. But
yeah,
usually Apple has the latest and greatest features
right. And I mean, they're
all
Apple.
the
I'm
time.
sure they can be like, hey, we want to change that. We want to change that contract, and they'd be like, all right, yeah, whatever.
Oh,
But I don't know. But yeah, so I'm
well,
hoping that'll be the case because like the Apple TV is not going to support it. I don't think the Nvidia Shield is going to support it.
well,
Maybe the 20.
apparently they do. NVIDIA Shield supports DTS X.
Well, they support DTSX, but will they support it for streaming? Because that's a different license for Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
Does anybody stream in DTS? That's not a TV. That's not a
Right.
Sony.
And I mean,
Yeah.
NVIDIA Shield supports DTSX, but I use that with my Plex, with like my ripped content. I don't know of any streaming service that supports like DTS by the masses. I can't think of any streaming service. It's all that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Apple's just been like
just Sony's Bravia, but that's on the TV though. It's not on
right.
an external
So
device. Yeah.
and that's only like relatively like newer TVs, right? Like, maybe 4 or 5 maybe years old. I mean, before that, like I have a Sony TV that's from 2014 and it ain't gonna support. I don't even think I can get the Bravia core on there.
Could you imagine if they started doing IMAX versions on Apple or Vudu with DTSX? Then IMAX Enhanced would really start blowing up. It'd start
Yeah.
picking up, I think. IMAX Enhanced version of like Nolan movies, people would lose their
Oh
shit.
man,
Yeah, people
that
lose
would be
their minds. They're
awesome.
like, oh.
But I don't even think Nolan wants like he doesn't like the whole immersive audio. So I don't even know if he would even want it to be accessible with that. Which
Taylor Swift on IMAX Enhanced?
so, but the thing with IMAX Enhanced, from what I understand, is once your TV or so basically everything in your chain, I think your TV and then your receiver, once it gets that signal, I don't even think you can change it. Like it locks because it's supposed to go into like this IMAX enhanced mode
Yeah.
where you can't even access, like if you want to go in and change it, like, hey, the bass is too much. I don't think you can even change it. So it's going to be interesting to see. But if it's only on TVs, I mean, that's kind of sucks because I don't really see them getting much reviews or traction on that if it's not available to the masses. I would think Apple TV, even if it's not right away, even if it's not on launch day, I would think Apple would want that on their platform with Disney Plus because I mean I feel like everybody has Apple TV now. It's kind of like what Roku was, 10 years
Yeah.
ago. Everybody has a Roku or everybody had an Amazon streaming stick. Like,
I mean, I know they're coming out with a new Apple TV pretty soon. That's what
are
the
they?
rumor is.
I haven't even heard that.
I mean, I
I
don't know
mean,
how much better it could possibly be, but
yeah, because this newest one supports 4K 120 and like I know like some stuff with gaming, but like other than that, like what else could they do other than like 8K,
yeah.
which that's not going to be mainstream for another 10 plus years, if probably longer. So, but yeah, I think I'm excited to see since I have that. And I was talking to the guy Acoustics. I was like, do you want me to hold off on this review? Because that's coming out next month. But if I can't even, if I don't have anything that will play it, it's kind of like moot. So,
Well, I guess we'll see. Maybe the new version will support DTSX. So somebody's talking about the new Sony soundbar. I know you heard it. How's it sound?
it sounds pretty good. It's so I haven't heard any of their previous soundbars, so I don't know what to compare it to. But they do have a
Well,
couple options.
compare it to your system.
Oh, that's no, that's that's not even close. Like that's the
Okay.
thing where it's like sound bars for me always sound good for what they are. When you try to start comparing them to like a dedicated theater system, it's like I don't even want to try to compare that because there's no comparison. But I think sound bars, what they have is good for like a living room or open floor plan where you can't place speakers all around your room, or you've got the wife acceptance factor where she's like, hey, I don't want to see speakers. Then yeah, like the Sony soundbar is good, or the Nakamichi Dragon is good. Michael Walker, I know you're in the And he already, yeah, he says not gonna
No
make you
way.
drag in.
Michael Walker's here?
Yeah,
No
not
way.
gonna make you drag in. 11.46 sound system ain't no gimmick. I will agree with that. It's not a gimmick, but the soundbar sounds good. I'm most excited about the mini LED TVs.
Hold on. Wait, the Sony Quad system.
So yeah, what you talking about? So that actually sounds. I think to me that sounded better than the soundbar
Is
because
that the new version of the HDA9 thing that they
that's
have?
replacing the H, which I was
Okay.
like, y'all just came up with that a couple years ago, and you're already replacing it. So
Just a
yeah,
different form factor,
right.
essentially.
But I
Okay.
think it has more. I forget. I have to look at the information. I think it has like more. I forgot how they described it, but within each speaker, there's either more drivers or there's something that they said that has more of that's supposed to be better at reproducing immersive audio than the HTA 9 system. But yeah,
Some
so I
kind of
heard all that
AI,
stuff.
some kind of new AI technology.
I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, we get it. It's the same stuff, but they rebranded it. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the TVs.
Now, yeah, so the TVs, they've got a whole new lineup of the TVs, but for their flagship this year, they're going away from the OLED. Now, they're still making OLED, but their
Yeah.
flagship TV for 2024 is the new mini LED, and it's got like 300% more local dimming zones than the previous version. So they have these
300 more.
300% more.
Wow.
So, yeah, so when it was really like we couldn't really take pictures or video very much. There were certain areas where they were like, hey, and for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Sony flew out a bunch of like content creators and online magazines and stuff last month to a Sony private event in California. So we actually got to see Sony Studios. It was at Sony Studios. So we got to see like these just absolutely massive warehouses where they actually film movies like Spider-Man, like all kinds of movies, Ghostbuster, like a lot of movies that were shot there. We got to take a tour of that, and then we also got to see. Do you know what a Foley stage is? Like
Yeah, yep. Yeah, they
so
do little footsteps and stuff, yeah.
yeah. So for people that don't know what a Foley stage is, when they film a movie, like the audio is always bad because they're in a whatever environment. They could be outside, whatever. So the audio always most of it gets lost, other than the dialogue. So they have to go back in and recreate those sounds. So they showed us the guy who's worked on like all kinds of movies. He's worked on Man of Steel. He's worked on he's worked with Quentin Tarantino. He's worked with I forgot who he's Michael Bay, like a whole bunch of other people. But he actually took scenes from like Spider-Man and others, and he showed us how he makes those sounds. It really gives you a bigger appreciation for when people say director's intent and the amount of work that goes into a movie. They're doing layers and layers and layers and layers of like audio design, like a dude sitting there with like a high powered mic, and he's taking metal and he's making all these different sounds, and he was making horse sounds with his hands in his mouth when you're like, oh, and so he would record it in real time, and then they had a guy in the mixing booth.
You know, Jordan, you would know all this if you watched the behind the scenes footage on your bonus discs.
I know, right? Shame on me for not going back and watching all this stuff and supporting. But anyways, yeah. So the mini LED TV, that's what we were there for, and they gave us like this whole tour, and then they showed us their new TV, the mini LED, and everything is going to be branded under the Bravia now. So there's no more like Sony A90 AL XPR. It's Bravia 9,
Fucking hate
Bravia
TVs,
8,
dude.
Yeah. Well, they talked. I don't know if you watched that stream that they did later with Brian Tong. They talked about that because he was like, "Thank you
Yeah.
for making this simplified." They were like, "Yeah," but actually, one of the guys that was there, he was like, "Believe it or not, those acronyms or those letters actually each stand for something." And actually, I just found out yesterday what Bravia means. I forgot it already, but it's like best
It's like a
rendered.
Japanese sword or something like that. Or I
Well,
remember
they
this.
actually said it too. It was like best rendered something, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Now
Like
it's an acronym?
Yeah, apparently
Come
I
on,
did not know
man.
that, and I was like, "Oh, I thought it was because I was always like Bravia. Where did that come from?" But it stands for something. You can probably Google it now and find it. But yeah, so they have the mini LED, which is going to be their flagship, and it's got 300% more local dimming zones. Looks super bright. can get up to 4,000 nits peak brightness. But the big thing with that
Wow.
TV
Get out
is,
of here.
yeah.
4,000 nits? That's what they said?
So, well, so this is the thing, and I didn't even think about this until the other day. Someone said this the other day. So Sony, at least when they make their movies, Sony's the only company that controls the production
Lens to
from
screen.
lens to screen. So they're shooting on
Yeah.
on Sony,
Yeah.
cameras, and then they are mastering it. And a lot of movie studios master on Sony. So they had that one there too. They had the new Sony mastering like monitor that they
Yeah.
have. The thing with that is the mini LED TVs, the new ones, the flagship for this year, are supposed to be as close to the mastering
Mastering
monitor
monitor.
that you can get, so that when you get the
Yeah.
TV and you watch the content, it's supposed to be as close as possible because that mastering monitor can also do 4,000 nits.
Yeah.
So before, the mastering monitor could only do 1,000 nits.
Yeah.
So
They say this every year, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Continue the story.
but so that this is what they're telling us, and they're
Yeah.
saying so like now this mini LED TV is supposed to be like a lot closer to the director's intent. They had was it Joseph Kaczynski there that did like Oblivion. He did
Maverick.
Maverick. They had him there and his director of photography there that was talking about that, and he was like, "Yeah, we saw the mastering monitors and we saw the mini LED TV, and they were like, this is what it looked like when we were mastering it." And then what else did they say about the TVs? Oh, so now I don't know if you've heard about the new Amazon like Prime app feature that they're going to have on these new TVs.
Oh my
So there's going to
gosh.
be
Yeah.
there's an Amazon app that's going to be either a new app or it's going to be updated, but it's basically going to be
I would like to know how many people use the apps in their TVs and not an Apple TV or Nvidia.
I
That's what I would like to know.
I was using the apps on my Sony TV, but it was the operating system was so slow that I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
so
can't do this
jank.
anymore.
They're
So I
always
got
so
like
jank.
yeah,
Every year they're so jank. But yeah,
but maybe it'll be better this year. Like I said, my Sony TV is from 2014, so it's outdated. And
mine is from last year and it's jank. But
it's
yeah,
still
go ahead.
jank. Yeah,
It's
I'm not
Android.
a big fan of the Android thing, especially when they started doing like the whole ads that you couldn't remove. But anyways, they've got this new Amazon app that's so they use the example of like The Boys, and they had the director there. He was talking about like when we create a show, he's like we spend hours, sometimes weeks, on a single frame, color coding it, like grading it, all this stuff. And he's like, once we finish with the show and we send it out to Amazon, like we have no control of how people are watching it anymore. Like people get these TVs, they put them on this, vivid mode, they put them on sports mode, like whatever. And he's like, that's not how you're supposed to watch it. But now Sony's working with Amazon with TV shows, movies, sports, because every, I guess, depending on what content you're watching, has a different, color grading, whatever. So they're working with Amazon to where if you have one of these new Sony TVs and you're watching something on Amazon, it talks to Amazon and Amazon says, "Hey, you have the new mini LED TV," and it automatically puts the content in a specific mode to where you don't have to like go and try to change settings and I'm watching a show, let me go and fix the brightness, let me go fix this, all this stuff. It automatically does it for you, and it's supposed to be exactly as how it's supposed to be seen. So that was kind of cool. I don't know, obviously, until I see it, how it will actually perform. And they said apparently, like I guess Netflix has something kind of similar to that, but this one is supposed to be for like
Again, like a Netflix calibrated mode, like they've had for the past 4 years.
yeah, but this one is
Oh
supposed to
my
be
gosh.
better because it changes it based on what you're watching. So if you're watching a TV show, sports, because Amazon's like one of the only ones that has like live sports, it changes all that stuff, all the settings, and it's supposed to be like an accurate
I hate.
representation. So
This is why I hate TVs, man. They do this bullshit every year. They got some stupid feature every year. Every year they got a stupid feature, but yeah, and then people eat it up.
we'll
But
see.
yet, but,
I
ye-
mean,
but
it
yet
sounded
people
convincing,
complain.
but yeah.
They're like,
But
"Oh my god, Kaleidoscape is so expensive, but I'll spend $4,000 on TV every year." Like, what are you doing with the previous
true.
year's TV? Like, what's going on with you
I
guys,
know.
man?
That's why I don't review TVs because I'm like, I don't want to unbox this big TV and then have to box it back up, ship it back out. We are supposed to get some review units to
Hold
review,
on.
but
I take that back. I forgot you were talking about Sony. Sony, I love all your features. I'm talking about every other TV company out there.
I mean, it sounded convincing. Like with the way that they were talking about it and they were showing us, I was like, this could be game changer if it's implemented right. But like I said, I won't know until I actually get a chance to see it. But not having
It's
to.
never it's never implemented right. Just a spoiler alert. It's
Well,
never implemented right. Never.
well, that's
But
the
go
thing.
ahead.
Like
Go
this is
ahead.
supposed to work. Like it's working directly with the TV's capabilities. So,
Yeah. 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 That's
oh,
what
you
they're
got a
doing here.
4,000 nit peak brightness. Let me go ahead and change the setting to where because and they showed us like on a 1,000 nit monitor or a 2,000 nit monitor that they're mastering on, but then you go play it on a TV that can only do 1,000 nits. Now that like it's clipped, like the highlights are blown out and stuff. So now that the TV is supposed to be like as close as possible to the mastering, we'll see. But it was pretty incredible to see all the stuff behind the scenes. They had like one of the TVs. They showed us like all the like with the panel actually off, and they showed us all the dimming zones compared to the old one. And it was like, dang,
Yeah.
this is way brighter. It's a lot more. So I think the mini LED TV is going to be really good this year. Having seen it in person,
Yeah, they've gotten better every year. I'll give them that. I think that's the only thing that really matters is the dimming zones. All the other BS is just BS. Oh, like,
yeah, because it
I gotta
used to get
calibrate an
blooming
app.
before.
Yeah, all the apps and shit. That's nothing. People, that's like just their PR stuff or whatever. That's all BS. Just give us the brightness, give us the nits and the zone count. Everything else is just secondary.
Yeah, so
But
that's
you
cool.
got a free
And
trip. You got a free trip out of it, so that's cool.
oh yeah, they pay for Sony does it big, man. They fly you out there. They pay for your flight. They pay for your hotel. They even pay for the car service to
Such a
and from the airport. And it's funny.
Listen, don't
It's
tell him that. Don't tell him you're a shill. Come on.
hey, I'm
Such a
not
Sony shit.
I
You're such a Sony shill.
I did it for home theater review. Home theater review asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But it's
All right,
funny.
guys, just so you guys know, I got invited to the trip too, but I said no because I'm not a shill.
I kept telling him right. I kept telling him, I was like, dude, you should have come out here. Like this is pretty cool. But hey, people could call me whatever you want, man. I don't I don't care.
Yeah,
Like
that's okay. I'm a shill. I know I'm a shill now. So I mean, they've said it so much, I just think I'm a shill.
but it was funny because when I got to the airport, there was a dude because you give Sony all your information and everything. There was a dude that texted me like before I even landed. He was like, "Hey, I'm your driver from the airport to the hotel. When you come down, I have a sign with your name on it and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I come down there, and they've got like digital signs now. It's not like a piece of paper that they wrote on. It's like one of those LED signs that you can change. Whoa, where's that coming from? I don't even know how I did that. But so when I went and got my luggage, I was like, I'm just waiting for my luggage. He's like, oh, I'll wait with you. And then it came around the little carousel. And he's like, no, I'll get it for you. I was like, you don't have to get, like, I can get it. And he was like, no. So he got it. He put it on there, and he's like, all right, what? And so I looked back, and everyone was looking at me like, who is this dude? This dude's getting like, it felt weird because everyone was staring at me like, why is this guy getting, shuttle service or like a driver and all this stuff? But I mean, Sony really knows how to like, I guess, because that's the second time I've done something with Sony. I went last year that was not nearly as big, but there was a lot of people there. There was FOMO was there, B the installer was there, Brian Tong was there, HDTV test. Actually, I got to hang out with HDTV test guy. He's actually really really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of people there. Jenna, what is her last name? She's the sister of iJustine.
Oh yeah.
iJustine's
Yeah.
sister was there. Jenna Ezerek or something like that.
Look at that. Did you have a date? Did you get the digits?
She's got a boyfriend. Her boyfriend was actually there with her too.
Oh. Too
Yeah,
bad,
he's
buddy.
another YouTuber that they always do videos and stuff. But it was a fun trip, man. Should have went.
Nice. Maybe I'll go to the next one. It's like next week in New York. We'll see. I don't know. Probably not. The product looks a little whack.
Vincent
but
Tio, yeah, that's who Vincent.
better to be a Sony shell than a Kaleidoscape shell.
If people think your shield doesn't matter, what you're shilling for, just the fact that they think you're a shield is bad enough.
It's like crazy. Listen, it's weird because like I get movies sent to me for free too, like physical media discs for
Shill.
me. Like, how come I'm not called a physical media shill? I mean, those are free. I get those
They
for
only
free all the time.
they only care if it's over $8,000.
If it's over, how much is a Blu-ray? For like $40? If it's over 40
Yeah.
bucks, you're a shill, Shane. You're a shill too, Jordan. $40. God.
I guess so.
This week coming up, we got The Departed. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah, I
you've
saw
seen The
that.
Departed. Have you seen The
I have
Departed?
not.
Come on, bro.
I have not seen The Departed.
You're gonna have you. I did. I once did a stream with Gene. We did like our top 10 best Atmos mixes. I made a whole list out, kind of like what we did here, and then I just went through the list. Was like, yeah, this scene was good. This scene was good. This, it's got little fucking balls and shit moving around. Gene, what'd you think about the movie? I didn't see it. Okay, number 9. Blah 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 blah. Gene, what'd you think? I didn't see it. Well, we go all the way to the end. You hadn't seen like one movie. Dudes were like, "Yo, what is he doing here, Shane? Who is this guy?
It's funny.
Isn't he Audioholics' main man for home theater and audio?" I was like, yeah, apparently he's just missed a few movies.
That's wild. Real quick, Michael Walker says, "What happened to Bravia Core with Sony?" So I think it's called. They changed it because they told us that too. I think it's just called. What is it called now? It's just called Core or something like that, but it's not called Bravia Core. But which is weird because they moved to Bravia for the TVs. But yeah, they told us that it's called something else, but I don't remember what it was.
It used to be called Sony Privilege app, which I did a review for.
Really,
Venom.
I did not know that. I only knew it as Bravia Core.
So it's always been like IMAX enhanced type of thing. So the first one was Sony Privilege, or maybe it was Bravia Privilege. That's where I did my 4K Blu-ray versus IMAX enhanced, because that was the only way you could see IMAX enhanced was on that service. The next year it was like Bravia Core, which I think stayed around for like 2 years. So now it's just Core.
I think it's called Core, but someone asked about that and they were like, yeah, it's not called Bravia Core anymore. But also too, it was Bravia Core, but then they started doing that like high bitrate stuff because it wasn't like that before, and it was like
it was like that. It was like 80 megabits per second, I think it was.
Okay,
unless
so
it's now,
maybe that's when
unless
it
it's
called
higher.
Bravia Core. But I remember before that, and there may have been another name before Bravia Core because it was something else. And then I remember when they came out with the
Sony Privilege.
Okay, maybe it was called. I didn't realize that's what it was called.
Yeah.
But when they started doing the high bitrate stuff, I was like, oh, it's the same service, but now they have. But then it was like, in order to get that high bitrate, you had to get one of their newer TVs. So it was like, oh, I can't even stream this.
Before the Sony Privilege app, they had an external box, which you can get high resolution.
Oh yeah,
files in.
yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that.
That
That's
lasted
right.
for one generation. Then they went to the Privilege app. Then they went to the Bravia Core app. Now they're at, I guess, the Core app now, from what you're saying.
Yeah, and I could be wrong on that, but I know that they said that it's not called that anymore. But I think it's just called like Sony Core or something like that. I have to look it up.
This is what
But,
you deal with. This is what these TV people deal with. They don't complain though. They don't. I never hear people complain about the shit they do every year. But yeah, we got to hear stupid stuff about one device that happens to cost a lot of money that has remained the same year after year after year after year. If you buy it once, you've got it. You've already spent your money. But yet people will buy TVs for a stupid feature that comes out every year. New feature every year, every year, every year. And they'll drop all this money for very incremental increases, if any. But nobody says anything about that. Like, I don't understand you people, you TV people. You're out of your minds.
Yeah, I'm not
Out of
buying
your
a TV every
minds.
year.
I don't understand it.
My TV is 10 years old, so
Yeah, it probably still looks nearly as good as the stuff that
Pretty
comes out
much.
today. Yeah. That's not a Sony TV, because Sony TVs get better every year. Sony, send me that Bravia 9, please. All right. Well, you got, all right. So you got, what you got coming up?
Yeah,
You
the
got the
next thing
Dune
is
review
probably going
coming
to be
out
the.
tomorrow.
It's probably. I would like for it to be tomorrow. It's probably going to be on the weekend, because I have to shoot a little bit more B-roll. I still have to do the talking head, and then I have to edit, and then I have another live stream tomorrow evening. So it's probably not going to be till the weekend. But yeah, that's probably going to be the next video. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to the finished theater so we can see the theater tour. I know somebody else mentioned that in the comments.
Oh yeah, theater tour. Yeah, so yeah, I should have a theater tour up. I mean, they shipped out the RBH speakers, I believe today. I got the tracking number for today, so I'm assuming it's probably gonna be here around Tuesday. I ordered some more fabric for the front screen wall and the lower half of the back wall, so that hopefully will be wrapped up Tuesday, Wednesday. I am going to shoot a Valencia Monza versus Barcelona video Saturday, maybe Saturday or Sunday after I watch Ministry of the Gentleman. You know, it's funny. I have not seen one trailer of that movie, The Ministry of
Really? Man, that
whatever
thing's been
gentleman.
on like playing for like 3 months. At
The
least the
movie?
trailer. No, the
Oh,
trailer like
okay. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen one trailer, so I'm going in completely blind. That's the best way to go into a movie. I have no idea what it's about, but I know Superman's in it, so I'm like, all right, I'll go see it.
my boy.
So hopefully I have a tour up within the next 2 weeks, maybe week and a half, maybe next weekend. We'll see. I'm excited to show the vid. I mean, I've been working. I know people call me like a shill or whatever because I have some expensive gear. They think I have a lot of money, but I built this fucking whole thing by myself,
It's
essentially
impressive.
99.9%. My fingers are constantly in pain all the time because I've been. This is all I do all day is just talk on the computer and just on my mouse, click 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 click, edit videos. But dude, like manual labor sucks.
Yeah.
You guys that do manual labor, kudos to you.
I've done all of my stuff. I hung my last two Arendal ammo speakers the other day because I was like, I got this. So with my new, and I know we're gonna end here soon, but with my rack, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm taking everything out of my rack for review equipment because it sucks. You take your stuff out, you gotta unwire everything. You put the new stuff in there, at least like with receivers and stuff, and you gotta wire that back up. Then once you finish with that, you gotta take that review unit out, unwire it, then put your other. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I just bought me like a little 15U rack, and I'm like, that's gonna be my review rack. I'm not taking anything out of my rack anymore. So, but I needed to hang two more speakers so that I can use. So when I do reviews of receivers, it's only gonna be like 5.1 because I'm not trying to like unhook all my wires to my speakers and do all. So it's gonna be 5.1.2, and I still needed to hang the other two speakers, so I did that. But even that was just like I had to find the cross beam, and then I had to put like a piece of 2x4 or a piece of wood so that I could mount to the wood, and then I had to mount the speaker. Like the same thing. I did everything. I mean, my house was built, and I had them pre-wire everything before I moved in. But other than that, I've done everything in there, and it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
A lot of work sometimes for you make a video and it gets like a couple thousand views. It's just like, man.
Got all 63 of you guys watching this video stream today. Thank you for hanging out with us today, and thank you
Thank
for
you very much.
sticking for the whole duration here. And like, screw the other 100, 100,000, 100, 200,000 other subscribers who are not watching. Fuck them all, man. So thanks for hanging out with us for these videos.
Good to see you,
And,
Rob.
oh yeah, nice to see Jordan hanging out with Shane representing H-Town. And I hate. Okay, let's not get into it. Oh, so yeah, so theater tour is going to be coming up soon, and I think that's it. Creator, I'm probably going to wrap up the creator review tomorrow, and I got some Atlantic Technology speakers, which I think you're
Oh,
going to get
yeah.
too, right? Are you getting those too?
I don't know if I'm getting them. I think the rep was supposed to, I guess, let them know that I was interested. I doubt I'm gonna get them because I think she said that was like her contract with them was ended, but she did put, I guess, a good word in for me. So maybe.
Oh, I mean, you did the other ones. I don't know what they wouldn't send to you,
I
unless
don't
they're
know.
waiting for mine to go back to for you to
Maybe.
get. Which I'll probably just keep them, just so you don't get them.
Chill.
Atlantic Technology. So be on the lookout for that. And then the RBH review. I got a NAD M66 review. I got a Golden Ear T66 review. I got a. I feel like I got. Oh, I got a Martin Logan on wall masterpiece series review coming out. I forgot about that. I should probably take those out of the box. Ever Solo, Hi-Fi Rose. Got so much stuff. So much stuff. But that's coming up. All right. So let's get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, guys. It's been fun. We'll see you in the next video. I'll leave some links in the video's description to Jordan's channel if you guys want to go over there. And if you guys want to pick up, some movies in Kaleidoscape,